click it? Oh, I did. I miss your edited reviews, Jim. I like the way you make them.
Hi.
Hi. Going a little bit of a off the wall intro to the live stream, but hello everybody. It is Zach, the Dark Conservatarian, and this is my buddy Jim, the Loudmouth Reviewer, here on my secondary channel. Say hi, Jim.
Hi.
And in case nobody knows, that's like one of the sayings that Dr. Eggman says at least twice to Stone throughout the entire Sonic Now trilogy. He said it like at the midpoint of the first one and said it at the end of the third one. But yeah, we're here to just kick back and relax and talk about some of the movies that we have watched over 2024. Some of them will be like rather abridged opinions because we've made live streams about them, like for example War of the Rohirrim, and I wasn't on there, but Joker 2 was reviewed by Loudmouth here. And mainly I think we'll start off with a couple of movies that we haven't talked about yet, and that being Sonic 3, and of course one that Jim really wanted to talk about, Nosferatu.
Nosferatu was my favorite movie of 2024 easily. It was an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Like it definitely had some objectively good qualities to it. Just I guess it's not quite my cup of tea because I guess just in general horror movies aren't really my cup of tea. The Exorcist is probably still my favorite horror movie that I've seen thus far, largely because of the relationship between the mother and daughter and the priest guy. But about Nosferatu, tell us your basic summarization on why you think it's so great.
Well, I'm willing to bet that if the original filmmakers of the original could be brought back from the dead to watch it, they'd all agree that that was the movie they were trying to make in the 1920s, but obviously couldn't due to the limits in filmmaking technology of the time. It had such a dark and creepy sinister atmosphere, and I love how it brought vampires back to their roots. They're not meant to be sexy. They're not meant to be misunderstood. Nosferatu, the Count, is just an absolute evil menace.
And more specifically, isn't Nosferatu supposed to be like supposed to be lustful, like that he's more sex oriented than Dracula?
Not really. If you really watch the original Nosferatu, which was an unofficial adaptation of Dracula, which almost got destroyed because it was sued by Bram Stoker's widow, but there are differences in it beyond the change of names. Oh, for one, Orlok doesn't have the ability to turn others into a vampire. He really only has the ability to kill when he comes for you. And and the word Nosferatu itself roughly translates as plague bringer. So you see in the movie, in both the original and the remake, you see how he comes with rats all over him, and there's shots of flies, shots of hyenas. Just generally that he brings a plague everywhere he goes, which brings death.
So Nosferatu isn't the name of the vampire in this movie?
The name of the vampire is Count Orlok.
Okay.
But Nosferatu kind of it is another synonym for vampires or anything that brings a plague, brings death.
I see. Is that like German or something?
Yeah, it was a German movie. That's another difference it has with Dracula is it's set in 1830s Germany instead of 1890s Britain as the book was. The book was set in contemporary times. Bram Stoker wrote it in 1897 and it's set around that time.
Right. You go saying that's a German word that like emphasizes even more the stereotype of how words sound just a whole lot more scarier when you say them in German. Whereas if you were to say it in English, it'd be like plague bringer. Whereas Nosferatu, it's like Nosferatu.
Right.
But yeah, the reason why I asked if it's like yeah, that he was like some horn dog or something like that was because that seems to be a lot of what this movie was hinging on was the love relationship that he had with this one girl who was feeling I guess, lonely, and so therefore she
Well,
made a
yeah,
oath to the
but if
guy,
you notice that
and he
it
came back to
portrays
reap
him
it.
as kind of like a stalker who's kind of like obsessed with her in terms of wanting to drink of her. And just as in the original movie, she kind of sacrifices herself at the end to bring an end to the monster. She uses the monster's lust for her to be its undoing, as he's killed by the light because he has to return to the ground by daybreak. Which also was not something in Bram Stoker's Dracula novel. That's another difference between Nosferatu and Dracula.
Is because Dracula does not have as much hubris, whereas Count Orlok does have a whole lot more hubris.
Well, it's less about more hubris and more that he succumbed to his lust for blood.
Right. Dracula. Okay, so the impressions I get is that Dracula is a whole lot more smarter vampire, whereas Count Orlok is more brutish and horny. Let me just say.
Well, yeah, he's obsessed drinking, but and that's what I loved about this movie: the incredibly dark atmosphere, its use of shadows, which the
Right.
original Nosferatu is praised for its use of shadows, and this kind of just takes it to a whole new level.
Right. I mean, I did love the set pieces and the cinematography of everything from the sound to the lighting work and everything about it. Like, I don't know if you saw my review, my short 7-minute review of the movie on here on my secondary channel. But one thing that I definitely did credit Robert Eggers for is this seems to be like a true example of a director's uncompromised vision put on film. And that's definitely one thing that I can credit the guy for, whereas you cannot really credit that with too many directors. Granted, it's not really because of their own doing, it's because the studio is being a bunch of dicks to said director. But it seems credit to Robert Eggers, he wasn't interfered so much, and he got his full vision on screen, and so therefore he got a very high quality movie out.
Yeah, it seems to be a very like this movie is being successful. The Northman, unfortunately, was not successful. Even though, as I've said before, I
Let
absolutely
me
adored
see.
the Northman, but it wasn't financially successful. It lost money.
Right. Now you got me curious. So what is the box office of this movie? Budget 50 million, box office. Oh, okay. So far it's got a $35.8 million profit because its box office is 135.8. So,
Well,
yep,
that's
it
not exactly how it works. A movie, it's the movie has to break even, and then they still only get a portion of the earnings after. So honestly, its profit margins are not going to be that high, but it has turned a profit, which the Northman unfortunately did not.
right. I mean, it is a bit of a pity. I will say that with this movie, one thing that I did like about it is it had a selection of more likable characters. And Northman, aside from the love interest of what's his face, the main protagonist, um, no one else in that movie was like an actually upstanding guy in any morally upstanding guy in any sense of the word. Whereas in Nosferatu, you had the Christopher Holt character who just seems to be like a middleman caught in the middle of a shit storm, and the girl seemed to have her morals. Just she like ended up wound up in a bad deal, and so therefore, and of course, there's by the end she like sacrifices herself to end the ensuing plague that came about throughout the later parts of the movie. And the Willem Dafoe character, I mean, he was a bit of a crazy kook, especially going towards the end of where he said that.
He was the character based on who was based off of Dr. Van Helsing from Bram Stoker's novel.
Van Helsing. Who's Van Helsing supposed to be? Or is he supposed to be his own character?
Well, like I said, most of the characters in Nosferatu, since it was an unofficial adaptation of Dracula, they're based off of characters from Bram Stoker's Dracula, but they have different names.
Yeah.
And obviously, even though Nosferatu has been in the public domain for some time, and as has Dracula, so Eggers could have used either names he wanted. He decided to use the names from the original movie rather than the names from Bram Stoker's novel.
Right. I'm not as much versed up on like the dark universe, monster universe, whatever you want to call it exactly. But Van Helsing is that's supposed to be? Is he supposed to be the creator of one of the monsters or something? I know that he's not
No,
Frankenstein,
in
but
Bram Stoker's novel, Abraham Van Helsing was basically just this old doctor who was now who they call in, and he's knowledgeable about vampires and how they work. And
okay.
William Defoe's character in this movie was very clearly meant to be the, even though he's not named Van Helsing, he's clearly the Van Helsing of this movie.
Yeah, I definitely liked his character. His character was kind of a badass in the kind of way that he was portrayed with his competence of being able to handle vampires and the like, being knowledgeable of how that vampire magical possession of people works and whatnot. And of course, there was the doctor guy and the aristocrat who might have made some rather foolish. I can't remember all the characters' name, but there was the one aristocrat dude who whose wife and kids ended up getting eaten by Count Orlok. He was like he seemed to be kind of high up there in positions in the city. Like, was he the mayor or something?
No, he was just kind of an aristocrat, but yeah, and of course, after losing his wife and kids, he kind of goes mad, and as you'd expect from a man in his situation.
Right, and he just kind of basically commits suicide by just letting himself die in the catacomb in the tomb there where his wife's carcass is at.
Yeah, and holding his wife's body, that whole scene was depressing, but also like beautifully tragic.
Yep. Um, it seemed that he was like overall a morally upright guy. It's just that he was making some rather foolish decisions, not out of malice, but just out of ignorance of how that vampires really work. That ended up kind of
It
screwing
kind
with
of,
his shit a
yeah, it
bit.
seemed that way. It seemed like he was a good guy, and that's what I liked about all the characters. All their motivations all seem understandable in the moment. No one's like needlessly an asshole for no reason, but when someone does do something something bad, you can kind of see their motivation.
Yeah. Um. So you're kind of in agreement with me that the movie has more morally upright characters than that of the Northman.
Yeah, but I don't feel the fact that the Northman's characters aren't morally upright is a flaw in that movie. It's clearly meant to be a parallel about how the madness and drive for vengeance corrupts one's soul and leads you to the gates of hell.
Is that essentially why you think that the Northman is a little bit better than Nosferatu? Is because Northman had a more of a grounded, dark ending as opposed to Nosferatu's ending was just a little bit on the sappy side of where that and everybody was saved by this one girl's sacrifice
Well, I'd say the
or something like
Northman
that.
just kind of felt a bit more like it was a more interesting period that I think's rather unexplored. Whereas Nosferatu is a vampire movie, there's a lot of vampire movies. Even if this
Yeah.
one was a superb vampire movie, a fantastic one, the Northman felt a bit more needed. It felt a bit more edgy, so I liked it a little bit more. But I adored both movies, and I love how William Defoe has now been given a great performance in 3 out of 4 of Robert Eggers' movies, and apparently he already says he has a role for him in his next movie. So it looks like those two are going to be that Defoe is going to be in his movies and giving the best of his performances for some time.
Just like Tim Burton and Johnny Depp, huh?
Yeah, pretty much, except better, a lot better.
I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously, because Tim Burton can sometimes go a little bit too much on the crazy edge, or he's just a little bit out of his bounds, like whenever he tries to do a Disney live action adaptation. And
Yeah,
Johnny Depp,
you remember my review of Dumbo. I was not a fan.
yep. So back on the Robert Eggers movie. So one thing that I guess I will say is a little bit of a better part about Northman than Nosferatu is that it felt a little bit more climactic in the fact that a sword fight in the middle of a volcano, that's honestly kind of badass, even though it did not quite have the ending that I would prefer in a movie. It still like ended up as a and everybody died the end kind of ending. Whereas Nosferatu, a lot of people live, but at the same time, a girl just sacrificing herself and then it cuts away to credits is a little bit more, or actually a whole lot more anticlimactic, in my opinion.
Yeah. And the monster himself, Bill Skarsgård's portrayal as the monster himself, I loved it how deep and menacing his voice was.
Oh
Obviously, the
yeah.
original Nosferatu was a silent movie made 5 years before synchronized sound was invented, so it wasn't able to have give him like a vocal presence. But here, you really have is a deep and menacing tone to him.
Oh yeah, and that's it was badass. I definitely liked it. Here, let me share my screen here. If my
Well,
computer will let
the
me.
one thing I was a little off about is the mustache because he didn't have that in the original movie. I kind of think he was creepier as this hairless thing.
Maybe. Well, there's Bill Skarsgård right there. It's
Well, in the movie,
fascinating.
they
The
gave him
makeup work.
a mustache, and supposedly the reason why he did that is because he looked up Romanian lords pictures of them, and they all had mustaches. So he figured he was being more historically accurate, giving a Romanian lord a mustache.
All right, so you kind of credit it for trying to be more historically accurate, but you still would have personally preferred them to just keep him like facial hairless.
Yeah, because ultimately, yeah, it's a vampire movie. Historical accuracy doesn't really need to apply. I don't think he really needs the right facial of a lord of the time. Yeah, because real Romanian lords weren't vampires that brought plagues to cities.
So this guy obviously has like a very youngish and devilishly handsome face, and he's only 34 years old. Like, props to the makeup work team. Like, they made it so that he looks like somebody who was like in his early 50s and rather sinister, almost Jafar looking kind of.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
So good work on them for that. What else do you have to say about good parts of the movie? I'm more listening than anything because I'm not as brushed up on like this monster lore and whatnot.
Well, the original Nosferatu. Well, it's amazing the original survives to this day because, like I said, Bram Stoker's widow sued the filmmakers and was given the rights to the negatives. And for some unbelievable reason, when she could have sold them for money, she chose to destroy them. She set the original camera negatives on fire. And it was thought the movie was lost forever for a while until there was a reprint found in America
Yeah.
some
By the way,
decades later. But unfortunately, if you've seen the movie anywhere, you'll know what I'm talking about. Even on Blu-ray, the picture quality is not very good. It's very rough, very scratched up. And the reason for that is because with no access to the original camera negatives, a really good video transfer just isn't possible. So, but it's public domain, so you can watch it for free on YouTube.
so okay, for the original Nosferatu, yeah. You keep on saying Bam Stoker. You mean Bram Stoker?
Bram's, however it's pronounced.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering for a while because I remember the epic rap battle of history, Edgar Allan Poe versus Stephen King. Edgar Allan Poe was all like, "You're a foe, Bram Stoker," referring to
Right.
Stephen King. Um, I don't know who is Bram Stoker like your favorite horror novelist, or who would that be?
I wouldn't say so, but I mean, the character he invented, Count Dracula, has certainly made its name in pop culture. Particularly, it's been public domain since I think the early '60s, so and it's been in so many different forms over the years.
Bram Stoker, Abraham Bram Stoker, born 1847, died 1912.
Yep.
Um. So yeah. Personally, what do you rank Nosferatu like on a scale of 1 to 10?
10 out of 10. My favorite movie of the year, easily.
Oh really? I thought you would have given it like a 9 or something since it wasn't quite as good as Northman. Whereas Northman, you would also rank a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Robert Eggers. I adore all his works. I I look forward to anything he makes. His name's on a movie from now on. I'm just gonna be like, go run to the theater and say, "Shut up and take my money."
This classic Fry meme.
Yeah.
What was that guy's name in that movie? Was it just Fry?
Huh?
You know, in Futurama.
Yeah. Phillips J. Fry.
Okay. Trying to like find this. I had like a list of different movies that I personally have seen in 2024. I guess we can talk about Sonic 3 for a bit, since we might be done with freaking Nosferatu right now. What
I
did you
guess
think?
Sonic 3, it's decent, I guess. I didn't dislike it, but it is what it is.
Right. I mean, I am not like the biggest head over heels fan of Sonic in general. I'll leave that for other people out there. But it definitely, all three of them, I like them enough. Well, the second one I found to be, honestly, with the second one, what kind of ticked me off was about how that the adult characters got sidelined so hard. Like there was the wedding scene that they had of where that only one of them really plays any kind of plot relevance, and
Yeah,
that is
the whole wedding scene in the second movie pissed me off, mostly because it started off actually pretty funny, and then it got corny as hell towards the end, and I'm like, you fucked up something that was actually kind of funny. I hate that.
Yeah. The one cop dude, Donut Lord, whatever is Tom. I think Tom was his name. The only thing that Tom does is just throwing a ring so as to save Sonic and Tails at that one point. Whereas the rest of the characters, they just seem to be like random waste of time attempt at comedy gags with each other. Like the Daryl character, the bald black guy, I would have liked to have seen him like maybe play a more important role in the story, but no. And
I mean, what was it? I'd say my biggest issue with it was how dark Shadow the Hedgehog's goal is, and how easily he's dissuaded from it. If somebody is like that,
for the record, now we're talking about Sonic 3, people. Sorry, go on, Loudmouth.
Yeah. Spoilers. Spoiler warning. You've been warned. Okay. He's literally willing to engage in a psychotic plan to kill everyone on Earth, to murder 8 billion people, countless animals, all life, including himself. But then he gets talked out of it just from a little speech by Sonic. Come on. If somebody's going to do something that is that fucked up in the head, that they would do something that evil, I think it would take a lot more than that to dissuade them.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they had to like do something to try and give Sonic more of an anti-hero vibe than an actual balls to the wall cackling villain vibe.
Yeah, I think would have made more sense to keep him a villain from beginning to end rather than have him change in a very unconvincing way.
Yeah, and I guess I did not pay much thought to that part of it. I mean, it definitely does make sense what you're saying right there. I thought that Grandpa Eggman, whatever his name was, that he was handled a lot better when it comes to villainy. Like, he's so grief-stricken with the loss of his granddaughter, and then he kind of even emphasizes that Ivo, which is the younger Robotnik, that he can never replace her, can never fill that hole in his heart that is just left open from her death. And so because of that, he's all like, humanity must die. And no amount of speech or anything is able to like get him out of it. Not even a good comforting word from Ivo Robotnik or anything. And so he tries to destroy the world. Of course, he dies at the end before he can try and make sure that his plan goes all the way through. And so, yeah, he starts out a villain and dies a villain throughout the whole way through.
Yeah. Having Jim Carrey look at the screen and say it's almost as if we're two characters played by the same actor. little bit too much of a fourth wall break there, don't you think?
I don't know. I guess so, but I thought it was still funny enough
Yeah, I
for me
guess it
to
was.
excuse it. What really kind of bugged me more, actually, and maybe I'm a weirdo for overthinking this part about it, but there was this almost weird chemistry between Robotnik and Grandpa Robotnik, of where I mean they even like touch each other's fingertips, and I was thinking to myself, whatever. I know that it's kind of symbolic of something, but I'm not going to overthink it. But then when the egg robots like just hovered down as the other characters walked away out of the shot, they had like hearts pop up in their optics, and it was just like, what? No, what are you guys saying? Are you saying that you see a romance here blooming? Are you saying that you guys, the egg
I
robots,
don't.
have?
I think they were meant to just imply how happy they are to be together as grandson and grandfather.
Maybe. I guess I thought that it could have been like
That's yeah.
portrayed
That's
better.
yeah. I didn't see that.
Um, I, so definitely, I can definitely grant that that is what they're intending to have shown, was just that grandpa and grandson, they're like back together again. How charming, how sweet, or
Yeah, it's a
whatever. But
little
just
little Field of Dreams silly moment, like, "Hey, Dad, want to play catch?" Yeah,
just the way that it was like executed, there was some part of me that was thinking, is this incestuous?
no, wasn't incestuous, dude. You're being weird. Just
Okay.
remember, incest is wrong.
So therefore you win the debate.
Yes, I just won the debate.
Just have to say incest is wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's wrong. Therefore, I win the debate.
Hmm. Um, I thought that the way that Ivo Robotnik, of course, Ivo was the name of the younger Robotnik. His motivation was, I thought, made sense because he was villainous, but he wasn't so villainous to the point of nihilism. He was just villainous enough to the point of, oh, I want to be the one in charge of everything. Looking at the two Eggmans, it was almost like looking at Morgoth and Sauron. Whereas a couple live streams ago, I mentioned of how that whereas Morgoth wanted to destroy everything in the Lord of the Rings lore, Sauron did not want to destroy everything. He just wanted to rule everything, and that seemed to be the kind of motivations between the two Robotniks. Is one of them wanted to destroy everything, the other wanted to rule everything. But if he can't rule everything and it's all about to be destroyed in front of him, then he might as well save everything, I guess. So, why not?
Yeah, no way. You can't rule a world that's completely destroyed. So, yeah.
And plus, his good buddy Stone was still stuck there on Earth, so he had to save him in some kind of way. I guess he kind of came to the epiphany finally that, oh, there is the one person that really cares for me. Agent Stone, I like the way you make your lattes.
Yeah.
As he gives that whole spiel as a bit of a, I guess, kind of nostalgic callback to the first movie, even though that movie is only 4 years old, so not quite old enough to be technically nostalgic. But hey, we're in a society right now of short-term memory losses, so I guess it could be considered that, but in relative terms.
Yeah. Honestly, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, fine, perfectly decent kids movie. Has some enjoyable shots. Animation's good, but is it anything great? No.
Yeah, I mean, would I pay a full price, like 15 to $20 ticket for it, as opposed to a matinee ticket, which is how I went about it? I don't know, but it
I saw
was
it on
worth
Tuesdays. I
ten
get free
bucks.
popcorn. And I went in there and ate a free popcorn bowl while seeing it. So that was good enough for that.
Did you do you have like a Regal membership or something?
Now the local theater, if you got like a membership card, they give you a free popcorn on Tuesdays. So much to my detriment of my midline, I often just partake in that.
Oh, gotcha. Um, lay off the butter there, dude, and do some more cardio and sit-ups.
Yeah, I agree.
um, So yeah, I thought it was at times funny. Sometimes the jokes did not land, sometimes they did. The action was good enough, like particularly whenever that they ended up flying in the air and doing acrobatic action shots against each other, Shadow and Sonic did. Um, yeah, and the villains, I like the ending. The villains were kind of compelling in their own differing ways, except for Shadow, I guess, as um, Jim kind of pointed out to that point right there.
Well, I mean, Keanu Reeves voicing him was kind of cool,
Yeah,
and
that
the
definitely
action
worked.
sequences were generally well done.
Oh, I actually here's one thing that I need to mention. Like, I like the fact that Tom and his wife that they played more of a key role in the story by actually helping Team Sonic invade the military compound. I'm glad that they were like back as like important characters instead of side gags like in the second movie. That's kind of
I
what
really
the
didn't care. To be honest, I think they should have just made Sonic the Hedgehog movies as animated movies set on his world instead of live action mixes.
maybe. Uh, I mean, I don't really care either way, but if they are going to include live action characters, I would like them to at least play a part in it instead of being like screen fodder.
Yeah. What I found really funny is apparently this shows what bullshit the Oscars have become. Apparently, it is the movie was disqualified for the Best Picture consideration because it didn't meet the Oscars diversity requirements. And I'm like, what?
Oh,
What?
Sonic 3?
Like, what the fuck? What do you mean it doesn't meet diversity requirements? I mean, the main hero is given a black wife, and that's not enough.
Or at least the main human, the main hero is
The main
actually
human,
Sonic.
yeah, the main human character. Well, no, they can't give Sonic a black wife. That'd be weird.
Yeah. I'm trying to
But
think of
but
a
but it shows it's absolute BS. And now I'm guessing Nosferatu, the movie that does deserve it, probably won't get it just because it has an all white cast, and that's
yeah.
total fucking bullshit.
Well, Sonic 3, it only had black and white people. It didn't have any Latina people, Latin American people, or Asian people, so therefore immediate
I mean,
disqualification.
there probably were some in the movie, probably just not as main characters.
And the only thing that it had anything to do with gayness was a homoerotic jokes between young Eggman and Agent Stone, which, by the way,
Yeah, it doesn't
on
have
a
any
side
gay
note,
characters, and heaven forbid a children's movie not deal with that.
instead of having some actually serious gay people that are in a serious gay marriage or gay
Yeah, that's how
relationship
it.
or something like that.
Yeah, that's how Hollywood ended up losing $30 million on Bros.
Yeah,
That's
but
that that entire movie, like every single conversation. I haven't watched it, watched the whole thing, obviously, but I'm going off a review of it. Supposedly, every single conversation in the entire movie is about being gay and the experience of being gay, and there's nothing else spoken about or anything else in the movie at all.
and let me guess, they were super serious and self righteous and preachy about it. Hey,
Oh, yeah, yeah. And what the funniest part is there's like a scene where one of the characters is talking about how he'll prove all his detractors wrong because he'll make openly gay project a hit. And that is ironic given that the movie that came out and was a massive box office bomb.
he put all his eggs in one basket, and
Well,
they
it was
all cracked
recorded.
in a very yolky mess in his face.
It was retarded and shows how delusional they were to ever spend that much money on a movie like this. I mean, they're the population of gay Americans, or even if you had, I guess, Europe into it, just it is not enough to sustain a budget that high. Why would straight men go to see this when we don't even want to see straight romantic comedies?
Right. Whereas in Sonic 3, it seemed that it was mostly played up for jokes, and I didn't really mind that so much.
Right. Where
And at the same time, they weren't trying to portray homosexuality as a good or bad thing. It was just a completely morally neutral joke, was all it was.
yeah, but I just think it can't be nominated. Now, granted, it doesn't deserve to be anything close to the best picture of the year at all. But besides that, the whole diversity requirements thing, I think, was the
Yeah.
dumbest thing I've ever heard.
You just think that their reasons, you think that the reasons for it should be that it's not that high quality movie, not that, oh, it's not diverse enough.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to say that it doesn't qualify for Best Picture because it's not that good, yeah, I'll 100% agree with that. But it not being diverse enough, fuck off.
Actually, speaking of racial diversity and whatnot, I kind of chuckled out loud of when that Tom decided to his hologram disguised him as Daryl, the bald black guy from the second movie. And I was thinking to myself, wow, is a movie in Hollywood, in modern day Hollywood, really edgy enough to do this? Like, this is almost borderline. I mean, in any other kind of era, this would be like considered blackface or something like that. I mean, I'm glad that they did not decide to do anti-black jokes, like racist jokes or anything. It seemed that if anything, they were poking
well, if they
more.
Did, it would have might have actually been funny and edgy, and obviously this was playing it safe for a family audience.
It was playing it safe, but I still could not help but laugh because of the meta humor about it. Because
it was kind of funny. Yeah, they have to wait until and then there's gravity beams in the room or something, and they had the FBI by what was the director played by Kristen Ritter there? I forgot.
Oh, you're talking about the director lady at whatever the name of the organization was.
Yes.
Let's see, Tom Wachowski, Maddie Machowski.
Yeah, I remember her from Breaking.
Director
Bad.
Rockwell, that's her name.
Yeah, I remember her from Breaking Bad. That chick.
Yeah, I guess she was kind of hot.
Well, a decade later, she's still fine as hell.
Oh, by the way, speaking of the female director, another funny joke was when that Grandpa Robotnik was all like, "Can you believe this, Ivo? They have a female in the military."
Oh.
I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, maybe in a general sense, I can agree that trying to diversify the military to make sure that women are more in it is rather cringe. But I just thought, I don't know, they weren't playing that overly serious to say that female military good or bad thing. They're just all like, movie. What?
If you remember, when Sonic enters God mode and he destroys Robotnik's giant mechanized robot thing, there's it was probably a line Jim Carrey ad-libbed. He says, "I did some things, you did some things. There's fine people on both sides."
Oh.
I got a chuckle out of that one. That was actually kind of funny, but it was definitely a political joke.
Yeah. Definitely as long as they lean in the lighthearted side of things and not so much in the serious side of things.
No, it wasn't preachy. It was just kind of a lighthearted little jab that I found pretty funny, to be honest.
I did. Well, I can't remember specifically that joke, but actually, maybe you have reminded me about it. Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Schaefer. Speaking of the whole Tom disguising himself as Daryl, at least I think Daryl was his name. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But anyway, Schaefer's production gave his own short little review of Sonic 3, and apparently he took that a little bit overly seriously. It's like, oh, come on, lighten up, dude. It's not like that they were there trying to caricaturize black people like this was 1930s Hollywood or something like that.
Well, he can fuck off there. I mean, he's just looking for shit to be offended by.
Yeah, the guy can be a little bit too much of a leftist soy boy at times.
Well, but don't watch him because he sounds unpleasant.
Well, the truth of the matter is that he isn't always unpleasant, and sometimes he will point out that, like, for example, Mulan 2020 was absolute trash because there was the feminist messaging in there that almost implies that they were trying to go for a girl boss type of message, and really it just was self-defeating because of the fact that it implies you just have to always be good and in order to be good or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that genuinely is one of the worst movies ever made. I hated every second of that fucking movie so much.
Yeah.
That movie is just concentrated garbage from beginning to end. I was legitimately shocked when I saw that. I wasn't expecting it to be anything special, but I didn't expect $200 million production to be that unbelievably terrible.
Right. And hello, Frank JGZ in the live chat. Almost tripped over my words there. Yeah. I guess we don't have that much to say about these two movies. I did have like a compiled list in front of me right here of the movies that I seen that were
what
new
do you
and
think was
released.
the worst movie, new movie of 2024?
Out of the ones that I've seen, or
yeah,
out of the ones that I personally have seen, you haven't heard of this one, but the best Christmas pageant ever. Second worst would have to
I've
be
heard of it.
Deadpool.
It's based on an old book from the 90s.
Yeah, but okay. So I guess it's ranting time. Okay, so I don't want to hate on this movie just because of the fact that it's like a Christian based movie. I mean, I like Jesus Revolution, which that's a movie from 2023. But still, I like that one enough. But best Christmas pageant ever. When I saw the trailers for it, I honestly thought and was kind of expecting a much cleaner and maybe almost Christianly version of Cheaper by the Dozen, a kind of slapstick comedy along the lines of Cheaper by the Dozen, except it might be just a little bit cleaner. But no, when I go watching it, it was nothing but just kiddified schmaltz, and was all it was.
It's based on a children's book. Of course, it's kiddified schmaltz.
Well, I mean, the marketing did not really sell it off. I don't know. I was dragged into it mostly because of the fact that, well, not necessarily dragged into it. I guess I could have denied the invitation, but still, my church was paying for tickets, or at least subsidizing for them for everybody within our church, and so I was invited to come along, and it was simultaneously boring and frustrating because of its lack of humor, and frustrating because of how that the Herdmans were just, they did not get any sense of comeuppance. Like I was almost expecting that maybe at some point in the movie that people would be like,
the whole thing is them learning a lesson due to the glory of Christmas.
I get that much, but wow, are you actually defending this movie? I didn't think that you defend this movie.
I read the book as a child. I haven't seen the movie.
Oh, okay. Did they take a Christian angle from that book
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. A little bit unexpected right here. I thought. Anyway, I don't know. I don't care to remember it so much. It's just the parents were like so freaking passive in handling the kids and everything else like that. Like there was a one point of where that they had the meeting of trying to look for volunteers for all the roles, and with all the chaos that the kids have brought into town, maybe it could have played in the play. I mean, if I was like ahead of that, maybe I would have let them do that, but they definitely did not deserve like main roles in that. There was even like a couple of kids that were raising their hands or about to raise their hands, but because that the Herdman kids were like trying to intimidate them out of like volunteering for those roles, and yet there was like, and just everybody was just letting them rock and roll all over them. It was just a frustrating watch, and it seemed to be like a very big case of kill them with kindness, and instead of like giving any sense of discipline at all in the sense of the word, and it was just very frustrating. There was even one point in that meeting of when that one of the Herdman kids slapped the back of the head of another kid with a book, and nobody reacted to that or like got a hold of or control the kid. Like, I know that it's not their kids, that the parents of the Herdmans were not present in the room there for them to actually take disciplinary action. But even if I wasn't their parent, I would like grab the book away from their hand and like, I don't know, get them to like sit in a corner or something, because fuck that shit. That was just infuriating to me to watch.
Okay. Worst movie of 2024 was definitely Joker 2.
Yeah. I mean, if I was to watch Joker 2, I'd probably like definitely hate that more, because I legitimately liked the first Joker. Even though I don't know, I kind of liked the first Joker for the same reason that you like the Northman. So maybe it's a little bit cognitive dissonance on my part, but still, it was a good movie for similar reasons as that, for how introspective and character analytical it was and whatnot. Um, whereas Joker 2 kind of shits upon everything of the first movie's legacy. I mean, I will give this at least to the best Christmas pageant ever. The actress for I can't remember the eldest of the Herdman kids, uh, Evelyn or something like that. She legitimately was a good actress in the grand scheme and the world of child actresses. She's like kind of high up there. Like she was able to give these subtle looks of sadness instead of like bawling her eyes out. I mean, and it's like legitimate sadness. If you're to like look in her face, you could see legitimate sadness, even though she's not actively bawling her eyes out or anything. But it's not a blank plank of wood that you're looking at the same time. Whereas, and the ending was a little bit of feel good stuff. Like, even though I thought that the movie as an overall package was overly schmaltzy, like I would have at least liked the middle part of the movie to have a little bit more conflict in it than there was. But the ending was all right. Whereas Joker 2, from what I hear of it, just sounds absolute shit.
Oh God, yeah. It should not have been made at all. They should not. The first Joker was fine on its own. Did not need a sequel, and the sequel is incredibly spiteful against the first movie and people who liked it.
Yeah,
and all this movie is a combination of really shitty musical numbers, like absolutely ear-splittingly bad. A couple of them I couldn't even stand sitting through. I actually just walked out of the theater and got a drink of water just because I'm like, no, I can only take so much. And
right.
The rest of it, it's mostly just commenting on the events of the previous movie.
So, how far down would you put Gladiator 2?
Better than Joker 2, but also I would say not a good movie. The only redeeming thing that one had was Denzel Washington's performance.
Yeah, because has Denzel Washington ever performed a bad role?
No, I've never seen any movie Denzel Washington has been in where he didn't elevate the movie in some way. The guy's just one of the best actors alive.
I can definitely agree. I haven't seen him in a bad role as of yet.
Even if he's in that's otherwise a pretty shit movie.
Yeah.
For one thing, it just rehashed the plot of the first movie with the Next Generation. So essentially, it was like Star Wars: The Force Awakens in that regard.
Wow.
And it had sharks in the fucking Roman Coliseum. Sharks.
That really annoyed you that much, huh?
Yes. That annoyed the living shit out of me. How in the flying fuck would they get sharks in there? How the hell did in the ancient Rome were they able to keep sharks alive enough to put them in the fucking Coliseum still alive and get a proper saltwater environment? How?
Actually, now that you mentioned that, it makes it sound even worse.
Why didn't they just use crocodiles? That would have been semi-believable, and they could have menaced the characters in the water. You can transport crocodiles alive back then, but not sharks. Sharks need to be swimming in salt water at all times, or they suffocate. You can, in order to transport them alive, you have to put special kind of pumps through their gills, which obviously the ancient Romans did not have.
Yep, absolute shit decision. What about Despicable Me 4? Where would that be?
I didn't watch it. Fuck that movie.
All right. Kung Fu Panda 4, have you seen that? I haven't.
Yes, I did. 5 out of 10 movie. The worst of the Kung Fu Panda movies. Very mediocre. Aquafina was predictably bad, and its plot was kind of dumb. They're saying that he has to choose a successor. I'm kind of like, why?
Yeah.
Why does he have to choose a successor now? It's never really explained. It's just because you have to.
Yeah, it's like if we were to like kind of theorize of what the timeline and time progression of the 4 movies would be, by this time Poe would be like in his late 30s, early 40s. I know that Jack Black is not that young, but still, that would be how old that Poe would be. And yet,
if he were an actual panda in his 30s, he'd be the kid, he'd be really over the
Oh
hill.
yeah, I'm meaning like I'm trying to like base off of human ages because these aren't like actual animals with actual
Yeah,
animal
I
real
know, I
life
know.
animal
They're
aging.
anthropomorphic animals. I know.
Right. Megamind and the Doom Syndicate.
No, haven't
That
seen it.
that did not release out in theaters. I did not watch it. It's available on
No,
Peacock.
it was direct. Yeah, it was direct to streaming. Yeah,
But I listened to Schaefer's Productions review of it, and it does sound like absolute boring garbage.
right.
One thing that annoyed me about that review was that apparently in Megamind the Doom Syndicate, he's all like, "Ooh, imagine this! How evil a business that is I don't know. It was some kind of jab at capitalism, and Schaefer was all like, "Yeah, fuck capitalism," and that was pretty much the only thing that he liked about the movie, and was like, "Of course you did, Schaefer. Of course." 2073. What is that? What the heck is that?
Didn't watch it. Never heard of it.
Neither have I.
I heard they. I heard they made a movie in 2015 called 100 Years, and and it's a movie that we won't get to watch because it's set for release in 2115.
Yeah.
So
Oh
they're
wait.
advertising it as the movie you'll never see.
Oh. Very funny.
Yeah, but it's supposedly they blocked it in a vault that apparently has a timer on it that's set to open in 2115
Right. So
in 90 years.
I guess before I like scroll on in this list here, what's your opinion on Wicked? You've seen that, right?
Yeah. Overly long. The musical numbers are actually pretty decently well done, but it wasn't for me. It's a chick flick, 100%. So I don't know if I can really judge it properly for that reason.
Yeah.
I can say that it did not need to be 2.5 fucking hours. They could have cut half hour out of that movie easily.
Yeah, and I this movie is like a lot older, not really relevant to 2024, but I saw My Asian Wedding or whatever the heck it was exactly called. It was about some poor Asian from America trying to marry some upper class Asian who's just doing school in America and therefore goes back to
Yeah, that was a shit chick flick.
it was a shit chick flick.
Yeah.
Okay, I was about to draw a parallel and say that it seemed okay, but it just doesn't seem for me because ultimately it was a chick flick.
Right.
I mean, it was kind of funny actually. Aquafina
the
was like,
whole cliche of the guy who runs onto an airplane to get the girl as she's flying away is just so drawn out. God damn.
did they do that in Crocodile Dundee or something?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because it's actually something that can get your ass arrested if you tried it in reality. Running
I
through
see.
airport security without that's you you could do some time for that.
Yeah. I mean, I understand, but I guess I wasn't putting on my analytical brain. I was just there for the experience of watching it on top of the Kansas City downtown library rooftop because apparently they have those occasional events up there. But it was funny watching that movie because Aquafina was like simultaneously the worst and the best part of the whole movie because outside of her, everybody was kind of boring, but at the same time, everyone else was also not gratingly annoying at the same time. So, I don't know. Take that
Yeah, I
for
just
what you
wish
will.
animated movies would stop hiring her, please.
At least they did not do that for The Wild Robot.
Probably my second favorite movie of the year because that was an excellent movie.
Yeah. Obviously, you and I have differing opinions of Nosferatu, but because of that, this is actually my number one favorite movie of the year. I don't know if
Yeah.
I've seen any movie that I would personally call a 9 or a 10 out of 10, or at least any one that was like released in 2024. Anyways, but Wild Robot I thought was an 8. Maybe if I was to give like another watch to it, I'd appreciate it more and then upgrade it to a 9. But because it had like one of the weaker villains in all of DreamWorks catalog, and also there was like some story beats that were kind of weird, like especially the the introduction of Long Neck, the one old goose. Like they just decided to exposition dump that he was like one of the nicer gooses to Rosam and Brightbill. And instead of actually showing that, they just decided to exposit that, and that kind of annoyed me just a bit.
Right.
And the fox was just, I thought, a little annoying, but then again, maybe I'm just being picky about that. But it's definitely up there. Definitely my number one pick. My number 2 pick is Transformers 1.
I like that movie, but I don't know if I'd rank it that high.
Okay. What is your number 3 place movie then?
I'm not sure. Let's see. Of the movies there I've seen, The Substance I saw.
The Substance. What's the movie about?
It's a horror. It's a body horror movie. It's also basically a body horror chick flick, if that's what it's saying. Aims as the message and its themes are clearly targeted at women's insecurities.
Okay.
The plot involves an aging actress played by Demi Moore on the wrong side of 60 who becomes obsessed with regaining the beauty of her youth. So she takes this fucked up substance to try to do that. And it has side effects that are rather horrifying. So it seems like a commentary on the beauty industry. The last 20 minutes of it in particular, it's probably the grossest shit you've ever seen in your life. It goes out of its way to gross you out as much as humanly possible. If you can stomach it, it has some good themes, but I don't think I could ever watch it again because it's too fucking gross.
How high would you rank it, or how low would you rank as far as favorite movies go?
I don't know how to rank this one because I don't know how to judge it objectively, and because it does have some good artistic merits, but it just disgusted me to the bone. It's so fucking gross, man.
Feels kind of the same way as to how that I feel about Northman and Nosferatu. Is like, I don't know how to review it, but I try. But at the same time, it also, by the sounds of it, it kind of sounds like freaking Evil Dead Rising. Like Evil Dead Rising had some good qualities to it, like the cinematography and everything was kind of in the same line of Nosferatu, in that it was very high quality. The sound effects were.
I'd say it's less mean spirited than Evil Dead 2, but actually in terms of its imagery, grosser.
Okay.
Significantly grosser, actually.
Wait, Evil Dead 2? I said Evil Dead Rising.
Sorry, Evil Dead Rising, yeah. Sorry.
You have seen Evil Dead Rising?
I said significally grosser. Like some of the imagery in it in the last 20 minutes is unbelievably disgusting.
More gross than a girl swallowing glass to make it slowly puncture her neck?
Grosser than that.
Well, fuck. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna pass it up because after seeing that part, I mean, it was a culmination of scenes before that were pretty gross as well. But after the swallowing glass part, I had to step out of the theater for a few minutes. Like just the overwhelming of the sensory overwhelming that I was getting, and everything was just making me literally sick to my stomach and lightheaded to where I had to step out for some fresh air. It was that overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, as far as bad movies go, have you seen the Garfield movie?
Unfortunately, yes. It's trash. Don't watch it. And if you have children, don't subject them to it.
Is it like the second worst movie of 2024?
I don't know. Look, well, Joker 2 pissed me off because of my love for the first movie. Whereas Garfield, honestly, it's more easy to forget just because it's just a shitty children's movie.
Right.
And there's a lot of shitty children's movies, so what can you do?
A shitty children's movie that tries to reference pop culture and whatnot. Like, I saw the trailers. Okay, so I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen like plenty of the trailers leading up to this movie. And might I say that the one line of where that Garfield is all like, "Hi, everybody. We're here for another mukbang," as he does the like ASMR voice at the same time, and it's all like, Congratulations, Garfield movie makers. You have just dated this movie already before it even released in theaters.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, just 10 years from
Well,
now.
mostly the worst thing about it, the physical comedy, and there's a lot of it, is it just really lazy and unfunny.
I
And
gotcha.
it's full of just fast moving cartoon gags that don't trigger any laughs. I guess getting fast paced cartoon comedy correct is just kind of an art that someone like, say, Tex Avery or Chuck Jones could do, that the filmmakers behind Garfield just weren't able to master.
Yeah.
I saw the
Speaking
new
of,
Wallace and Gromit movie today. I actually recommend that one, for example. That was definitely above average show, kids movie.
there was a new Wallace and Gromit movie.
Yeah, on Netflix. It was on the BBC on Japan, and America it's not premieres direct on Netflix.
Okay, so it wasn't a theatrical release like Curse of the Were Rabbit.
No, but I enjoyed it.
You know what? I
They bring
wonder if
back McGraw, the evil penguin. The first time in 30 years that character's appeared in anything, and it was actually cool to see that character back.
hey, what streaming service do you know that has all of the DreamWorks movies on the basic plan?
Most of them, I believe, are on Peacock because Universal distributes them. Well, I don't have Peacock, but I got the Wild Robot on 4K Blu-ray, so I can give a shit.
All right. I haven't bought a copy myself, but I gave my sister a physical copy of Wild Robot because I don't believe that she or her family had seen it yet. By her family, I mean her husband and kid. But
Right.
yeah. Speaking of kid movies, have you seen Imaginary Friend?
Yeah.
Oh, was it good, bad, meh?
Kind of bad. I mean, not terrible, but mostly boring.
Yeah, the marketing for this movie definitely did not attract me. Kind of like how with Transformers 1, but of course,
It was a box office flop, so I'm not surprised.
if
Yeah.
oh, okay. Going on the opposite end of the spectrum, Inside Out 2 was a box office success.
Huge box office, massive box office success. I was surprised how well it did, and it's good. It's a legitimately good animated movie.
Yep, it's probably my third favorite for out of 2024.
Did
Right
it deserve to
behind,
be the highest grossing animated movie ever? Not really, but at least it was a good movie.
yeah. It definitely wasn't anything super profound. It just seemed like mostly a rehashing of the first Inside Out with some different varying gags. And I definitely did like the fact that it decided to tackle anxiety and how dangerous that anxiety is, as opposed to the first one was trying to teach the values of sadness and how sadness can make you, well, I don't know. I was about to say empathetic of other people, but I don't know if that you technically call that a plot point of that first movie. But Inside Out 2 was funny.
Yeah,
It
maybe
had like a
empathy
good
should have
movie
been a character.
message. Huh?
Maybe empathy should have been a character.
Yeah. Instead of being just a subcategory of sadness or something like that.
Right.
Um, watch them pull that emotion in as a new character in Inside Out 3. Actually,
Yeah.
no, I hope that with Inside Out 3, they decide to be a little bit more introspective and not lean into the kiddified side of things. Kind of like how that
Well, I think
Cars
the movie
3
was
was introspective.
such a huge hit because, from what I hear, its story really hit a chord with female audiences. A lot of women went to see the movie, and I think they'll probably lean more into that for the next one, particularly as Riley gets older. Really, it'll have more themes that are really specific to women, and I think that's why I didn't like Inside Out 2 as much as the first movie, even though it was a good flick, because the issues it dealt with feel more female specific, whereas the ones in the first movie feel more gender neutral.
Yeah. Plus, Inside Out 1 had every little boy's favorite uncle type character, Bing Bong.
Yeah. I'm very glad Bing Bong doesn't appear in the sequel because it would have undermined his his death, his like quote unquote death in the first movie.
Yeah.
A worse rendition of Inside Out 2 would have brought him back just for fan service, but I'm very glad they didn't.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's not on screen here, but I guess my pick for second worst movie, at least specifically of the ones that I have seen, gone on my way to seeing, because keep in mind that I don't feel like it's a waste. It's worth my money, and it seems like a waste of my time and money to go on my way to see bad movies. And I was predicting that Joker 2 and Garfield and yada yada were going to be bad movies, so I just did not bother coughing up the $20 for a ticket and $20 for concessions. But second worst in my personal observation of things is Deadpool and Wolverine.
I thought Deadpool and Wolverine was okay. Was it great? No.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's only just okay. Oh, I got another person that just came on. Hey, what's up, Arkham?
What's up? Hold on, trying to make sure this is right.
Hello.
Hold on.
You're on.
Can you hear us?
I hear you.
All right, so my headphones actually connect this time, not just like disconnect for a second. I joined the call. All right, what's up, y'all? What did I miss? Sorry, I've been late.
You missed a lot.
We were chatting about various movies we saw recently: Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Nosferatu.
Right.
I still haven't seen either of those films.
So I kind of want to like finish up.
What was your favorite movie you saw in 2024?
All right.
2024. Frankie Frico. That was the one that since I think I made Psycho Gorman and all that. I like that one. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. Unfortunate things happened. So, by that I mean a lot of accidents.
Is that like some low budget B or Z movie that you see on one of your obscure websites or something?
No, it's kind of like a parody / throwback to like 80s kind of films.
What's the movie called again?
Frankie Frico.
Frankie Frico. Was that a theatrical release?
Kind of. It was limited theatrical release, if memory serves.
Oh, okay. Now you got me wondering.
If you're familiar with Red Letter Media, some of them are in that movie.
Frankie Frico.
Yeah, it's a parody of kind of those like someone who encounters like a creature, like a creature thing from the TV or whatever.
Oh, I definitely get 80s vibes looking at this with the puppets here and the 80s style movie poster like this right here.
Yep.
That's your favorite movie?
Yeah, of the year, yeah. That was the one I was the most happy with. I didn't see much this year that came out last year.
All right. But what about I guess I can continue on Deadpool and Wolverine
which
later.
I have seen that one, so yeah.
What?
I've seen that one, so.
Okay.
I said I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. What's sad is it was the best superhero movie of 2024, and that really shows just what a fucking shit movie for superhero movie. Sorry, what a fucking shit year for superhero movies 2024 was.
Oh yeah, I guess there was Madam Web that released last year too, right?
That was I think this year actually. Yeah, it was this year.
No, that was 2024.
Yeah, that was not that last year. Last year, yeah. My brain's operating on like.
Yeah, but
I was thinking that's what happened.
Madam Web, I saw that one on Netflix, and I agree with pretty much all the criticism, but it's kind of ironic, kind of funny. It's a movie that's so stupid it boggles the mind, but it's almost like watching a South Park episode that thinks it's a serious movie. It's so fucking stupid. It's kind of enjoyably bad in some places.
Okay.
I just found it kind of miserable and confusing. I saw on Netflix as well. I believe when I was playing Fortnite, because sometimes I do that with certain movies. I'll have like Fortnite on.
Was it as miserable to you as Joker 2 Folie à Deux?
I didn't even see that one, so.
Okay, so you can't
it's
even.
Fucking trash. Absolute dog crap.
I'm just sticking with the first. That's my stance.
Probably for the best too, for your sanity.
Yeah, Madam Web has such so amazingly terrible lines. I hope the spiders were worth it, Mom.
What? What?
Or another favorite of mine. I'm glad when you woke up this morning, you didn't know that today would be the day you would die.
Oh man, that reminds me of Mortal Kombat 2 Annihilation, of where that the one character's like, "Mother,
Sindel?
you're alive. Too bad
Yeah,
you will die."
Oh, oh man, the plot is it's so fucking stupid. It basically has her like trying to save these three teenagers, quote unquote. I say quote unquote because all three are actresses in their mid-20s.
Well, I know what Isabel
Mercedes
Merced's like her early 20s because I'm her same age, so like 23. But yeah, early to mid 20s.
Right.
Yeah, Sydney is 26.
Yes.
And I don't know the other one.
I guess
And,
to
and they don't even show her tits. What the fuck? Why do you cast Sydney Sweeney?
Well, I mean, they are teenage characters playing teenager. I think she was in it because she wanted to do Anyone But You, but the only way that she could do that movie, it was either that or Immaculate. She could do that one is if she had to do this one.
Yeah, but I'm thinking though, if you look at her in that superhero outfit for those brief and really stupid flash forward sequences, they're like, if you just had her like kicking butt as some scantily clad, skin tight superhero, that would have been a movie that would have sold.
Well, no, they don't want to do that because it's too hard, and it's like this weird.
No, it's because it's too sexist, man. It's too misogynistic.
No, it's not even that. It's just nothing. That movie is a big load of nothing. There's a reason why.
Is also a complete moron. There's this one scene where basically, basically he's stalking them. Okay, and they go to the police for no fucking reason, and the police have her. He attacks the police, which reveals himself to his targets. Whereas if he hadn't done that, if he had just like stood in the background and waited for the police to move on, he would have probably succeeded in killing them. But the villain decided to be a fucking idiot and reveal himself for no reason.
It's because we needed action, kind of.
Yeah, so basically the villain would have won if he weren't fucking retarded.
The villain would okay. The whole point of the movie I kind of like in concept the idea of a serial killer Spider-Man hunting down other Spider-Men. And if they actually tied it into the stupid multiverse thing they've been trying to accomplish, that could have kind of worked as like, okay, let's just say this guy is trying to kill all like the spider people who are like maybe like try to build off of like, let's say Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099 was doing kind of thing, but more extreme. He was like an extremist version of that. Do something like that and have like Madam Web try to protect other spider people. Don't make it like, oh, these people aren't spider people just yet, but they will be. No, like make them fall on spider people and all that. I could see this like working, but as is, it's just kind of a.
From what
he's trying to prevent them from being spider people that may or may not kill him in the future.
Yeah. The original
what an excellent
movie was that somebody wanted to like go back in time and kill Peter Parker before he was born. So it was
that was the original idea, yeah.
And a Terminator-esque plot where Madam Web was like trying to protect Peter Parker's mother so she could give birth to Peter Parker. That actually sounds like a more interesting concept than what they went with.
Yeah, which was kind of. But again, I think I also like the idea of making a Spider-Man slasher, because they're kind of going there with Ezekiel, the villain. Could have been interesting, but no, they just didn't want to do that. They had this whole thing about surrogate, like a found family thing. Nope, they didn't really do much with that either. It's just kind of this movie that doesn't know what it wants to be and doesn't have any idea of what it wants to communicate. It's just there. I guess it's better than Morbius because at least I can see ideas in it, but at the same token, it's also just not a very interesting. It's interesting to talk about, like what went wrong, but as I'm watching the film, it's not particularly an interesting watch.
Right, and that's the thing about it, though. It is kind of enjoyably bad because some lines and situations in it are legitimately so stupid it is kind of like chuckle worthy. Like it's a comedy that doesn't is aware it's a comedy, which makes it much better than Joker 2, because Joker 2 isn't even like fun to laugh at. It's a grim and miserable movie.
Yeah.
That's really spiteful against the audience.
So speaking of superhero movies, and specifically Sony Spider-Man movies, a couple other movies that are in the SSU, as it's being called, the Sony Spider-Man universe, Venom: The Last Dance and Kraven the Hunter, I guess.
I've not seen Kraven the Hunter, so I have no idea.
I wanted to see Venom: Last Dance because I saw the other two in theaters, but unfortunately, due to timing, I just never did. As for Kraven, I don't care. I'm gonna see Venom because I've enjoyed the first two movies, so I'm seeing Last Dance. I've been spoiled on it, but at the same token, I have no interest in Kraven. I don't. Kraven was never a character that I cared about, and having Rhino to be the villain also didn't make me care about it. And the lack of
Rhino?
Yeah, Rhino's the villain in that movie.
Cool.
I think the whole idea of doing solo movies without Spider-Man, of Spider-Man villains, was genuinely one of the dumbest ideas in the history of dumb ideas people have decided to make movies on.
It
and
is.
Not only are these movies bad, but worse than that, they've done brand damage to these characters. Like, it'll be harder to make good versions of them in the future because people will remember the shitty versions that came from these awful movies.
Yeah, I'd say Venom was the only one of them that actually got away with it, because Venom can work outside of Spider-Man. Kraven can't. Kraven is a character that only works within Spider-Man stories. No one cares who Madam Web is, and Morbius is just kind of a lame character in general. Because he's a vampire, but not really a vampire, or whatever.
Yeah.
At first, I'm going to be honest. At first, I thought Morbius was tied into Blade for some reason.
He probably would fit if they made him an actual vampire. They probably would fit better as a Blade villain than a Spider-Man villain.
What, Loudmouth?
I said he has crossed over with Blade, but he was introduced in a Spider-Man comic.
Okay. Definitely be interesting to see him as, like, maybe that's the way that they could introduce Morbius in the future, as if, well, I don't know. As we all know, there will always only be one Blade according to Wesley Snipes. But
I mean, it's shaping up to be that with how long it's been taking for the MCU to do their Blade. So,
well,
you know what? He's onto something.
Jokes aside, though, if ever in the future they decide to recast Blade or anything, maybe they can make Morbius a villain in that installment or something.
Morbius, or I don't know, there was some other jobber loser villain from Spider-Man who's also a vampire. I forget his name, but he was like part of the comic Spider-Verse arc, where it's him and a family of vampires trying to kill Spider-Man. It's really dumb. They could make him. I have a figure of him because
family
he was like $8.
Of vampires.
Yes,
that sounds about as cheesy as a family of orcs. Rings of Power season 2.
It's like a family. It's like this estate, or it's like a big family of vampires that like hunt Spider-Man. It's absolutely stupid. I think his name is Moreland. That's what his name is, Moreland.
Yeah. But
yeah, no.
To try and get the stream back on track. So Venom: The Last Dance. Like, how does it? I haven't seen the second one, but how do you say it lines up with the first two, guys?
All three,
I haven't seen the third one, so I've only seen the first two. So
I would say that I'd give all three movies about the same score, like a 4 out of 10. So it's really worse and no better than any of the previous two, and is all the same problems.
So why is it that you rank the first one so low?
I didn't like the idea of making a Venom movie who's with an origin not tied with Spider-Man.
Okay.
And it generally wasn't a very good movie. It felt like a schlock movie from the early 2000s that for some reason was released in 2018. It felt like all the progress that's been made in bringing superhero movies to the big screen was just ignored. It felt like a movie that was 20 years out of date.
I guess that opinion makes sense, but at the same time, would you prefer a schlock movie of a schlock superhero movie of the early 2000s, or an overly pretentious MCU schlock superhero movie of the late 2010s, early 2020s.
Okay, I'll grant it. I liked it better than the Marvels. Okay, maybe better than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium, but that's not much to say.
Fair enough. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, you rank it as a 6 out of 10, but I rank it more of a 5 out of 10. It was kind of middling. Like, I thought that the movie was like way over reliant on nostalgia and fan service as its
Oh
hook.
yeah, it absolutely did. But I don't know. I found it pretty funny. So
It was funny, and that's the biggest reason why I don't have it ranked any lower, is because it legitimately was funny in the action scenes, especially when Wolverine and Deadpool were fighting each other specifically, were fun. I didn't care so much for the end fight scene of where they fight against like a 3 dozen Deadpools. Like, that just seemed to have very low stakes in the fight of it, mostly because they all can super heal.
Skeleton of those guys, that whole sequence was really good.
What was? Sorry.
The one early in the movie where he's throwing around bits of Wolverine's skeleton.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I have a very jaded opinion about that. Like, on the one hand, yeah, the action in that was fun, but on the other hand, I did not like the fact that they decided to like literally dig up the corpse of Logan's Wolverine. It seemed kind of disrespectful. But on the other hand, I can get and understand that they're trying to be self-aware and just purely comedic of it, trying to poke fun at other MCU movies that have done the same thing or flirted doing the same thing, like how that Disney MCU has floated the idea of bringing back Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark again after killing him off, or doing some other kind of multiverse loophole type of shit to bring back their characters that we all invested into their deaths already. But still, it just, yeah, that's my mixed opinion about that scene. I did not.
Yeah, I guess. Like I said, the fact that was the best superhero movie of 2024 is a massive indictment of this year.
Right. I heavily enjoyed. Sorry.
But I think 2025 will be better. I'm looking forward to the Superman reboot. The trailer looked pretty good. So who knows?
You see all the Snyder fanboys like pitching a fit over that movie?
All of them do that. It's anything that is, say, James Gunn, or anything that isn't the Snyder movie or follows their universe is automatically bad to them. It's been a thing for a while. It's nothing new. Like, it's genuinely nothing new.
Snyder, honestly, he had all the opportunity to make something great, and he kind of dropped the ball. He made a few really terrible story decisions that kind of fucked the whole thing up. And
Save Martha!
Martha! Why did you say that name?
Because he's my mom. Or she's my mom, damn it.
It's because it's it's his mother. It's because it's his mother. Yeah. I don't know. That whole movie is just like the whole Snyderverse. I enjoyed Man of Steel, and I like his director's cut, like the actual Snyder cut for Justice League. Fair enough. But a lot of the DCU, when it comes to him, it's just not great. BVS was horrible. Right. I did not like that at all. I actually watched BVS in theaters because I saw Suicide Squad 2016 for free, so I was stuck with both movies.
Oh, man.
And this was actually because
the director's cut, the extended cut of Batman versus Superman is legitimately better. But at the same time, the movie needs some rewrites if it needs to be 3 fucking hours in order to make sense.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It needed to be 3 hours, bro. It needs to be 3 hours.
I never bothered with the extended cut and probably never will, mostly because Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor just physically hurt.
Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor was a terrible casting decision. So ultimately, a lot of the problems of Batman versus Superman were so ingrained that the extended cut does not fix them. It's better, but it's still very flawed.
Yep. So a couple other points about DNP, or no, WND, excuse me. That I don't know. I'm messing up the D and W.
It's Deadpool and Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine. I've just say the actual name of the movie instead of trying to do some fancy initials, Zach. But anyway, there was something about the interpretation of Deadpool or the portrayal of him in the third movie as opposed to the first two movies that just made him less likable to me as compared to him in the first and second movies. I cannot quite put my finger on it. Like, what do you guys think? Did he just seem like less likable than in the first two Deadpool movies?
I still generally liked the character regardless, and I still think that, again, this is one of the few times I actually tolerate Deadpool, so I didn't mind it there. Plus, I know the scene's been played. People have played the scene. I do like the scene where Wolverine just kind of yells at Deadpool about how much of a screw up he is.
Oh yeah, I mean I love that rant that he has at Deadpool is so cathartic, and really seeing Hugh Jackman as Wolverine back, that was one of the saving graces of the movie for me. Just him being the straight man to everyone else's weird, eccentric weirdness. And I will grant that even though most of the fan service was a little bit overly done, I do still appreciate that they did bring back Wesley Snipes' Blade because I did like the first two Blade movies a lot.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting that. I was like, when I saw Wesley Snipes was in this movie, I was like, wow, I didn't. Okay, that's new.
Yeah, I'm happy because at least it's not at least his Blade. Even if he doesn't do another one, we don't end his Blade off on like Blade Trinity or
And
something
of course,
like that.
the only reason why they brought in Channing Tatum Gambit was because everybody hated the portrayal of Gambit in Wolf.
Oh no,
X-Men
that's not
Origins
the
Wolverine.
actual reason. The actual reason is because Channing Tatum wanted to play Gambit for so long. He kept wanting to do it, so this was like his time to actually do it.
Well, I'm sure that that was another reason, but wasn't the reason that I mentioned one of the big reasons too?
That was probably the reason why they wanted. They probably ended up going with Channing Tatum because I don't think anyone would have particularly cared.
Yeah, they're like in the late 2000s was like
X-Men Origins, yeah, and he appeared in there for like
X-Men
a couple
Origins,
minutes.
a Gambit movie starring Channing Tatum, but it never got made.
Yeah.
Another thing that annoyed me about the movie was Nice Pool. He was more annoying than funny to me. Especially, I mean, literally, when his head got blown off going towards the end there, I was all like, thank you. Because the way that they dragged out that part of where that he was just getting shot by the other Deadpools as Deadpool 1 was using Nice Pool as a human shield, it was just all like, okay, I'm done with this joke. Can we get on with it? His head explodes. I'm like, thank you. And apparently, from what I hear, the reason why Nice Pool was in the movie and portrayed in the way that he was, and probably in the movie for as much as he was because I guess there's like some drama with Ryan Reynolds' wife versus some director that she worked with. And that guy is supposed to be a representation of that director dude. Supposed to be, he's like some gay male feminist, but was still having some drama of where that I guess she was so much of a bitch to work with to where that the director was all like, okay, I'm done with this. And so all the film was shot for her movie, but it was just left up to her to edit the rest of it. And the movie turned out so bad to where that I guess she decided to file a lawsuit against him because she was getting a whole bunch of like shit for the movie, but she decided to pin all the blame on the director. And yeah, I guess Ryan Reynolds and his wife now hate this director dude and decide to use Nice Pool as a foil for that guy.
I have no clue about that because I don't usually keep up with that kind of stuff, and I'm barely familiar with the filmography of Blake Lively in particular. So
it was a little conversation with Ranting Monkey and his co-host Jack in one of their shows.
Yeah.
So I guess take it with a grain of salt, if you will, but yeah.
I'm not even really familiar with Ranting Monkey to begin with, so I don't know.
I've gotten to listening to more and more of his shows ever since 2021, largely because I fell out of favor with people like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin and whatnot. He just has a little bit less of an elitist way of talking about politics and news and stuff. But anyway, back on the movies. So we already talked about this movie earlier, but one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to try and get you into one of these streams, Arkham, is because you've seen Nosferatu, and you might have.
I have not seen Nosferatu. I've seen clips of it, but I've not seen the whole thing.
Oh shit! Okay, fuck.
I haven't seen it yet. I planned to initially see it. Here's the issue. It came around the time where me and my family were going on vacation, so that wouldn't work out. And the nearest theater to us wasn't going to be playing it. So, because it's one of those like base theaters, and when you're in
You
base,
really need to see it, dude. It's incredible.
I've seen clips of it. It looks really good. I've already been familiar with the story. I've heard about the differences they made between it. It sounds interesting.
The original, right?
I've seen the original, yeah, from the 20s. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's like that, except done with modern filmmaking techniques. It's very true to the themes of the original.
Minus the fact that they gave Count Orlok a mustache.
Okay.
Count Orlok mustache. Well, I mean, yeah, because they also de-emphasized. I noticed they de-emphasized, especially when we heard the plague part of the story.
No, they don't. Not at all.
From what I've heard, that was the case. Which, if so, makes sense.
No, take it from two people who've watched the movie. They definitely heavily emphasize that they have like a big old boat of rats that come in, spreading the plague to everybody.
I mean, okay, from what I've heard, compared to the other versions, specifically the Werner Herzog version, which really emphasized. There's like a scene in that one, which I've also seen bits and pieces of, where you have this like these. I think some of the main characters or something, or like they're very rich and affluent, and they're at the table, and it's like, well, this is the last thing we're gonna do, because there's like rats circling all over it during, and everyone.
Are you talking about the 1979 version?
Yes, with Klaus Kinski.
Yeah. I watched like a retrospective on it from. I kind of heard some very disturbing stuff about how the movie was made with those rats. That a lot of them were abused.
Didn't hear about that. All I know about is that Klaus Kinski was one of the rare times where he just wasn't like a complete psychopath on set.
Klaus Kinski, is that the name of the director of the 79?
No, Werner Herzog is the director of Nosferatu, the vampire. No, Klaus Kinski is the guy who plays Count Orlok in that movie.
Okay, never mind.
Klaus Kinski is known to be a very talented actor, but also a very probably the hardest to work with actor, or one of the hardest to work with actors.
Right.
Clip notes.
Okay.
Complete psychopath that at one point during the filming of Crawl Space, which was a movie directed by the guy who directed the first Puppet Master film. Not only was he cited as the worst actor the Charles Band had to ever deal with, but also the entire crew wanted to kill Klaus Kinski.
Wow.
Because he was that much of a just prick on set. Genuine prick on set. Also, he's a complete scumbag in real life, but that's a whole other story. There's a billion videos, a billion documentaries.
Sometimes you got to separate art from the artist, I guess.
I guess there was like this one movie from the 90s or early 2000s, which was one of Marlon Brando's like last roles ever.
The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, of where that Val Kilmer was like very difficult to work with, and by the time that they like finished the very last shot that the director thought he would need, he was like, "Get out," or at least that's per according to Critical Drinker, anyways. His coverage of the
another movie one I watched as a kid that I can't really watch anymore after hearing about how it was made was one called The Adventures of Milo and Otis.
God, I heard about that. Yeah,
it wasn't huge on the movie. Apparently, it was originally a Japanese movie, and it involves about a cat and a dog who get lost in the woods. And it's played with real animals, and the stories that went on behind the scenes of that movie were incredibly unethical. And some you can even see on screen that you can probably tell they really shouldn't have done, like putting a cat up against a bear. All right, this is definitely like not right.
I don't know the specific stories, but I'm familiar with how troubled and just how the animal cruelty that was present.
I vaguely heard about the stuff. I haven't heard the details about it, but just mentions of that.
I watched that movie as a kid, and I'm like, I can't really watch it anymore. I
wasn't even huge on it when I was a kid. It just didn't work for me, and then hearing about it just made it worse. I'm like,
you sound very muffled all of a sudden, Arkham.
No, that's just my phone. That's just how bad my phone is.
Okay, like, all right. But for some reason, your audio went for a few seconds there really low, like you're talking through a blanket.
That's just how my audio is on my phone, legitimately.
It's not like it wasn't like that all the time. Just those few seconds.
Oh no, that's
Anyway,
what I mean. Sometimes my phone acts weird.
okay. Well, it's gone now. So, you guys heard anything bad about the production of Homeward Bound, though?
No, from what I
I'm
hear,
not familiar with that movie. So
animal cruelty organizations were pretty good. That the animals were treated well on that one. Disney by the '90s, Disney had kind of shaped up in terms of their treatment of animals, but
Okay.
like whereas Milo and Otis was like in the '70s Japan, and they weren't quite as progressive on those issues.
actually 89, if memory serves.
Huh?
That movie was released in 89. Was it filmed in the 80s?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, '80s. Yeah, not '70s. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 70s. 70s was different. I remember explicitly would be like an 89 film.
Well, anyway, talking about movies of
Yeah.
last year.
Speaking of animals, one movie on screen there I'd like to talk about is Flow. I did see that one.
I have not seen that one.
Oh yeah, Flow. Okay, this down here. It looks like some indie art house animated movie.
It is. It's done on a pretty low budget, so the animation is not really all that impressive. But I like what that movie did. There's no dialogue in it whatsoever. It's a foreign. It was a movie made, I believe, in France or Belgium. But since again, there's no dialogue, you don't have to worry about any language barrier. And
Yeah.
And what's interesting is it's about animals surviving a kind of weird post-apocalyptic world. And when I say animals, I mean actual animals. They actually act like animals and they make animal noises. They're not anthropomorphized animals. They're animals, real animals.
And not even like Homeward Bound, of where that they act like animals, but you have a whole bunch of voice actors that portray what their thoughts are in their head.
Yeah, none of that. They do nothing but make animal noises. The cat that we follow the whole time, the cat just goes meow meow.
Okay.
And the behavior was also meant to try to be reminiscent of animal behavior. Like you don't see the animal even sometimes in animated movies, even animals that don't talk will often make facial expressions or act in a way a real animal wouldn't. Mm-hmm. Like Snoopy, for example, doesn't talk, but definitely doesn't behave like a real dog does. The Flow actually has animals that behave like animals.
All right. Sounds good.
And kind of the whole movie is just kind of them trying to survive in this weird post-apocalyptic world. And I thought that was an interesting movie, even though, again, with a $3.8 million budget, the animation definitely doesn't impress that much. It looks like it doesn't look that much better than a modern video game.
Okay. For some reason, I'm looking at the cover art here, and it almost looks something kind of similar to Wild Robot. But then again,
yeah, it has a style similar to Wild Robot, but the budget was 20 times smaller. And you can tell.
Oh, okay. I'm taking a look at this, and yeah, they tried to go for that, but definitely looks like a low-res video game, like one of those video games you play from the late '90s, early 2000s. That's supposed to be like.
The movie looks like a modern video. I'd say it looks like a modern video game, but it doesn't look anything close to a big budget animated movie. But I'd say, given the budget that it was made for only $3.8 million, they did a pretty good job.
Right. I mean, it still looks decent. It definitely looks better than the one picture that I saw of Mainframe, or I can't remember, the one '90s movie where that you said Tony J played as a guy named Megabyte.
Oh, that's a 30-year-old show, man.
Right, but still, talking about different looks of different art styles. But let's see, go back here. What was I going to ask? Oh yeah, have you seen War of the Rohirrim, Arkham?
Nope. I've kind of been burned out of War of the Rings after the Hobbit trilogy, because that just was such a miserable experience, especially the third movie.
Well, let me reassure you, this is definitely better than Battle of Five Armies.
Well, I'm not doubting it's better. I'm just kind of burned out of Lord of the Rings. That was because I remember. There's a little bit of backstory. My family was hyped for the trilogy because my dad loves Lord of the Rings. Mom kind of likes it, but we watched The Hobbit, the first part, and I didn't mind it that much. And then the second part, we were hyped for the second part, and then it came out, and I was like, huh? I mean, granted, I don't think the first part was all that great, but it's definitely better than the Desolation and Smog. There were parts of Desolation and Smog I liked. Like, everything with Smog I thought was fine.
I
but
think it's not as good as the first Lord of the Rings trilogy, but I think it's fine.
And then Battle of Five Armies was just kind of like, we watched that like a few weeks later or so.
Yeah.
After its release, like initial, like when it was like officially just first released.
Honestly, my opinion, after Smog was killed, the movie kind of took a nosedive for me.
Oh yeah, no, it became like just like I don't know, it was just noisy and lame, and I hated the. I know everyone's mocked it, but the dwarf elf love story was stupid, and the way this one always sticks out because it's one of the worst lines I've seen or worst moments I've seen in a big theatrical film. It's when one of the dwarf that falls in love with Evangeline Lilly's character.
Are you talking about the one line of where that she's all like, "Why does this hurt so much?" And Thranduil was all like, "Because it was true."
That was bad. That was absolutely awful, and I hated that.
I actually think it would have been better if they had killed her off, because that would also have kind of set up Legolas's character better and explain why she's not in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, despite elves being immortal.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind that line exchange between the two characters so much if the love romance was more believable between them two. But it's probably
I just think sorry, you go.
It's probably largely because of the fact that the love relationships seem to be so fake, phoned in, and rushed. Why that line did not land for you, and me to an extent too.
I just think it sounds awful.
Thorin's deal with like dragon sickness was kind of weird. As Honest Trailers best puts it, he goes from a mopey dick brooding over his lost gold to a mopey dick brooding over his found gold.
I mean,
that definitely drags the pacing of the movie as those parts.
Which I guess is accurate to the book.
It is, from memory serves.
But it was just, I don't know, dragged a little.
What are you about to say?
I think a lot of that trilogy it was supposed to be 2 movies, and it should have been 2 movies. We just take the entire dwarf elf romance out, which is very late 2000s, early 2010s, and fan envy garbage.
And maybe if they also cleaned up the end action sequence a bit, and they did not have the advisor guy dress up as a lady and shove coins in his dress to make it look like gigantic boobs.
Yeah, that guy in the book, he's kind of just barely there, and he's kind of implied he's just a decent guy. He gets the full asshole makeover in the movie.
Apparently, from what I hear, Denethor in the original Lord of the Rings, he's not supposed to be as much of a cold psycho that he was portrayed by John Noble in the movies. In the books, apparently he was a whole lot more, noble, and he's more of a tragic anti-villain than anything else. And it's only because of the fact that apparently he had a Palantir that he was dabbling with that just made him mad, and that's the reason why that he becomes the way that he was. But because of the way that it is portrayed in the Jackson movies, it just looks like that he's just a dick for no reason.
It wasn't for no reason. He was distraught over the loss of his favorite son, you know?
Well, even before that, if you look at the extended version of Two Towers that goes into backstory, that he just naturally favors Boromir over Faramir, even scolds Faramir for just you give him no credit for anything ever whatsoever. Even though that Boromir is all like, "Hey, I wouldn't be able to take back Osgiliath without Faramir." He's all like, "No, fuck Faramir. Fuck Faramir. I don't care for Faramir."
Yeah.
So even before the loss, he was still a dick for no apparent reason for what they've shown in the movies.
Yeah, kind of, I guess.
I don't know. It was by not seeing that, I saw the trailer for it. I forgot what movie I saw the trailer for, the animated Lord of the Rings movie. Oh God, I need to look back what movies I've seen in theaters. Hold on a minute.
All right. Have either of you guys? Oh, I'm sure that you've seen this, Arkham. Godzilla X Kong, the new.
Yeah, I saw that in theaters. Yep. It was fine. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it was ultimately it's kind of the worst. Not counting Skull Island, which just wasn't really for me. Of
Huh?
the MonsterVerse Godzilla films, it's probably my least favorite of the four.
I
Not
really
counting Skull
like
Island.
the Kong Skull Island, honestly.
It has all the worst symptoms of the MonsterVerse, which is the human characters are particularly not interesting. It feels like a lot of stunt
I thought that
casting.
a handful of them were interesting, but
I
anyway.
liked no the only I will give one exception to what's his face.
John C. Riley.
Yes, that was the best one. Sam Jackson was kind of disappointing, but then again, whenever Sam Jackson appears in like something like this, he's just doesn't seem like he cares. It was the same thing with Spiral from the Book of
Well,
Saw.
you
That
you gotta
particular.
like. Okay, here's the thing. Some roles that actors take up of when that they don't care for the role, even when they don't care, sometimes they can still give on a decent performance or even a great
Like
performance. Like example I give is Alan Rickman as Sheriff of Nottingham. He did not care for that role, but yet he just
oh yeah, no, he was absolutely awesome in that movie. Even though I actually liked
and
the Prince of
Orson
Thieves. Is it
Welles
Prince of Thieves?
did not care for freaking Unicron, and yet he
Oh
gave
yeah, no, he
a great
hated.
performance as him.
Well, okay,
But
with
I kind of
Unicron,
play the
it was
same
a
rule for Sam Jackson as Colonel What's His Nuts in Kong Skull Island. He gave good old a good. I mean, it's Sam Jackson being Sam Jackson, granted, but still, I mean, Sam Jackson being Sam Jackson can still be fun on screen, and it panned out in the end. I thought,
okay.
especially
No, I just figured out what movie. I think I saw the trailer for the Lord of the Rings one. It was Transformers One.
oh, so you
Yeah,
went to
it played.
see Transformers One, and you saw a trailer for Lord of the
Yeah, I
Rings:
saw the
War of the
trailer
Room.
because that was the last movie I watched in theaters. So
All right,
that was the last movie I watched in theaters. Which again, I really love that movie. I think you already guys already talked about that one. I'm guessing.
Transformers One, not on this
Yeah.
stream.
Oh, not answer yet. We'll talk about it later. But with for Lord of the Rings one, it looked fine enough, but it also looked like a movie. I'm like, I'll watch it in like a few years when I'm actually interested in watching it. Um,
So I take that you haven't seen Sonic 3 either.
I might eventually see it in a couple days or so. So
Yeah, I mean, movies like Sonic 3 and Nosferatu seem like directly up your alley. So I'm surprised that you haven't
well,
seen
okay.
them already.
My thing with Sonic is this: I hate the franchise of Sonic, but I
Oh,
do
okay.
like
I
those
assumed you
movies.
wrong.
I like the live action movies. They're actually pretty fun, but I generally hate the franchise. I hate the fan base. I've tried some of the
Oh
games.
boy.
I can't
Did you
stand
play
them.
the games as a kid? I did. They were fun.
I played the first two I say games, and I just oh shit something I knocked something.
Are
I
we gonna
generally
like have a
don't
whole
care
bunch
for
of
it.
drama with Sonic fanboys now that you said that you hate the Sonic fan base with the burning passion?
I generally can't stand the fandom.
But anyway,
They're
go
kind of
on.
the brony situation. Well, you know, at least I know a couple people in the Sonic fandom that are tolerable. I can't, or like good people. I cannot name a single brony that I like, or I end up liking in the end.
Okay.
All of them end up being either freaks or just annoying.
But I guess that
So
what you were about to say is that you like the Sonic movies because the fact that they stray away from some things that you dislike about the animated Sonic movies.
they're generally more fun. The stories are far less like moronic and dumb. I think the actual designs execute better because I'm not huge on the Sonic art style at all because everybody has like weird mono eyes that make no sense. I
Yeah, I
just
mean, I
never
like
liked it.
that personally. I like the fact that they gave all the rodent characters separate eyeballs instead of them having like an eye visor where they have like a little bit of eye flesh material
The only
attached
one that
to
the eye
eyeballs.
visor works for is Metal Sonic. That's literally it. But he's a robot,
Point
so I'm
made,
like, okay, that's fine.
right?
Um, I've
But yeah, I agree with you there.
I don't know. I will say though the fact that what's preventing me from watching this one, the third one, more immediately, besides general interest in the brand, is I am not a fan of Shadow the Hedgehog as a character, like very much.
Hmm.
He is kind of that epitome of the edgelord kind of character that is really edgy because we got to make the character that's cool with that kind of crowd, with the kind of more emo alternate crowd. Got to make him really cool, and he's dark, and he's black and red, so you know he's dark, and he has a tragic backstory, guys.
I mean, they
Like,
had the non-emo badass tough character already in this franchise, and that being Knuckles. So it
well,
kind of
Knuckles,
balances
I
itself
don't
out.
care as much about. I don't have much of an issue. I don't care for him that much. Well, I like him in the movies, but I don't care. That like whatever. Knuckles is fine. Shadow is the one where he says "damn" because I'm remembering the video game. And also, and he says "damn." He has a gun. It's a hedge. It's a cartoon character with a gun, and it's a realistic gun too. Don't you understand how cool that is? Oh, you're gonna love that. I'm like, looks ridiculous, and you're supposed to take this seriously.
I don't know if you ever
Like,
heard of the YouTube channel, but there's this one called Super Butter Buns that makes some quip against that part of the Sonic, or excuse me, Shadow the Hedgehog video games. It's like you saying "damn" and have a gun that doesn't make you cool. You're a fluffy hedgehog.
I haven't seen that video, but that is accurate. It's just I don't
It's like
know.
a brief
That character
mention.
is never quite landed. I'm glad that the people who like Shadow got him in this movie. Cool for you. I don't care, but cool for you.
Well, even if you were
Um,
to ignore the shadow aspects of it, the rest of the movie is pretty decent. The like live action adult characters play more of a key role in the plot than they did in Sonic 2. And there's the contrasting relationship between Sonic and Knuckles and everyone else. The Eggman, excuse me. Grandpa Robotnik is he's got a bit of a compelling motivation, even though it's an evil one still. There's still like some compellment and I guess multi-layerness to it. And then there's of course the I'm not gonna like spoil anything, but probably the best character arc has gotta be the Ivo Robotnik, that being the younger Robotnik. So it's even if you ignoring Shadow, the rest of the movie is all right. I don't know if it'd be
I'm
worth
gonna
like
see it
paying
because I have a
full.
copy. So I'll eventually watch it. I also have to watch a billion other movies as well. I
Right.
still need to see this. Actually, funny, it was up there a minute ago. The Substance.
The
I still need to see
substance.
the one with Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, the kind of
It's
body horror one.
it's probably one of the grossest movies I've ever seen.
I've heard really good things about it. Generally speaking, a lot of people love it. It looks really interesting. I like some of the themes that it's going for.
Oh yeah, and it's essentially a horror chick flick, as its themes about women's beauty standards. It clearly are aimed at a female audience.
I think it works though in general. I think it's kind of the entertainment industry in
Yeah,
general from
it
what I've
kind of
seen.
has, because the whole plot of the movie involves a 60-year-old former starlet who kind of is obsessed with regaining the beauty of her youth.
Yeah. Again, it looks interesting. I've seen clips of it. It looks really good. Gonna check that one out.
And it leads to
Every
horrific results.
yeah, I'm gonna actually back to Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. I don't know. It's an entertaining movie, but it's the weakest. I'm glad though that they focused on the best human subplot of Godzilla versus Kong. So I'm glad we got those characters back, but the way they handled them was kind of dumb. With has anyone here seen that movie or no? Am I the only one?
Seen what?
Godzilla X Kong, New
Yeah,
Empire.
I saw it. It's pretty much
I
cinematic
have
junk
not seen
food. It's a bunch of shit flying around and a bunch of computer animated monsters hitting each other.
It's
Yeah, all right.
like pretty much dumb but kind of fun action.
Kinda. It's a childish and silly piece of schlock, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine as that. That's all
I
it is.
think what killed. I mean, I know it did very well in the box office, but I think what killed a lot of that movie's like. I think a lot of people would have been more on board with it if it wasn't released around the same time as Godzilla Minus One. Like it was released not too long after that, so probably helped the box office wise. it didn't help with the reception from the fan
Oh,
and
mine
people
Godzilla
around it.
-1, probably the best Godzilla movie since the original. That one actually was really damn good.
Oh yeah, I love -1. I love that. It reminded me. I'm a little bit of Shin Godzilla, which I don't think you've seen that one, Loudmouth, right?
Of course, I've seen that one.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm just making sure. I love Shin Godzilla. Love the original one. I still need to update the original. There's a lot of good, genuinely good kaiju films. The kaiju films that
I
take
own
themselves a
every
little
single
seriously.
Godzilla live-action Godzilla movie ever made on Blu-ray.
Oh, nice. Oh wait, do you have the Criterion uh, release for the Godzilla Showa era stuff?
Yes.
Oh wait, do you know about the
I
issue with that?
-1 and 4K Blu-ray.
Wait, do you have the issue? Do you know the issues with that one? That particular release?
What issues specifically?
Okay, so with that thing, check your discs. Because what happens is that how the disc works, how those the sleeves that the thing goes into, the discs.
Yeah.
What will happen is that they will eventually there's not a really good like grip for the discs themselves, so they will slip into the thing more, the sleeve, and there's the glue that's keeping the pages together. It's gonna get stuck. That's why I've never bought that. So be careful of that. My suggestion to you is to get a random Blu-ray case, like a multi-pack Blu-ray case, put all your discs there, and have it as like a display piece.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So
physical media got here, so yeah.
I guess we'll kind of move on now. Like we talked about Transformers one a plenty last live stream where we largely talked about Transformers abroad, me and Loudmouth anyways. But so Arkham, you being the Transformers connoisseur, what is your opinion of Transformers 1?
I loved it. I thought I was gonna hate it because the trailers look kind of bland.
Yeah.
And then I watched it. Because here's my thing.
Why does Optimus Prime at the end? I can't stand the cliche at the end. No, we can't execute. We can't execute the bad guy. That would make us as bad as him. I'm like, no, fuck that. Kill him.
I think. Okay, I'll talk about that later. But with TF1, with Transformers, ever since Age Extinction, my thing is I'm going to see them all in theaters as they come out. Same with Godzilla stuff. Ever since, actually no, the one I didn't do it with was Godzilla versus Kong. That was when COVID was still a thing. So I didn't see that one in theaters. I saw everything else in theaters. So I saw every new one that came out in theaters that I could actually see in theaters, not including the Netflix trilogy. But yeah, I watched it and I heard a lot of people love it. I saw clips of it and it sounded interesting. And I watched and like, wow, this is great. It's my second favorite. I still have a huge soft spot for the 2007 film, like a huge one.
For the what?
But I really loved TF1.
For the what film?
The 2007 movie, the first Michael Bay film.
Oh, you like that one the best?
It's my favorite one. I think it's really entertaining. It's just generally a fun movie. I think it has the best. I think it's the best general action in the franchise. It's the one that I think this and TF1 are
I
good
don't know. I
films
thought
where
that
you can
the
go
end battle
into
scene
them.
in Transformers 1 was very kick-ass.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. It's just my favorite fight scenes of the franchise. I love the 2007 films. A lot of how they did the effects in that are just really impressive. Especially even now, CG looks incredible.
No, I
especially compared to a lot of
like,
stuff now.
Like there is one consistently good thing about the Bayformers movies, and I think that might honestly be of where that most of the budget was directed towards was the CG effects as opposed to the writing team. The writing team could have used a little bit more funding, but Michael Bay was all like, no, devote that all to special effects to make these robots look like they're actually there and put in cool explosions too. But to the credit, it definitely does look like
I'm not a fan
more
of
there
any
than
of these movies.
Huh?
I I couldn't stand any of Bay's movies, to be honest.
Well, I get the reasons why, but the thing that I was trying to say was at least all the objects, all the Transformers and everything, they actually looked like that they were there in the live action set pieces. Not something that you can say as so much with some of the sloppier, lazier, and later MCU movies. Like the earlier MCU movies, like Iron Man 1 and 2 and the first Avengers as well, they got real enough looking special effects, and Thanos looks as good as ever. But I go seeing like clips of the third eye of Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, and clips of the one boy who has like a floating head in the air.
Yeah, from Love and
And
Thunder.
Captain Marvel is flying down some pylon or whatever in the Marvels. That looked fake as fuck. I mean, those definitely look worse than all the special effects for all the Bayformers movies. It's just mostly the absolutely brain dead story of those movies as to why that both me and Loudmouth. I mean, I'm less harsh on the Bayformers movies than Loudmouth is, but all the same, it's because of the storyline why they're heavily flawed in both of our opinions, more than anything.
I understand that. I understand. For me, though, I heavily enjoyed the first movie a lot. I like TF1 quite a bit. It is I think both TF1 and '07 benefit from being films you can still understand as an outsider. You don't need to watch a billion other films. I love the '86 movie, but that one very much depends on your attachment to the original cast, the 84 to 85 cast of Autobots, in order for that thing to kind of work. Because as is, it's just a slaughterhouse in the beginning.
So if you
gotta
consider
kill
like
off the first generation of toys, so your parents will buy you new ones if they.
Well,
love
that was
you.
literally the mindset behind that. Was Hasbro needed a way to introduce the new figures, and need to retire the old ones, just kill most of them.
I'm taking this off the screen.
But
yeah. I do got one question actually. If your personal ranking is first place is 07 Bayformers, and then second place is Transformers 1, well then where do Bumblebee and Rise of the Beasts rank?
Okay, so I'll go for my rank. 07 number 1, TF1 number 2. What is it? 86 is number 3 for me. I really like that. Rise of the Beast is pretty good up, but I haven't watched that film in a while, so maybe it's lower. It will be lower for me. I don't know. I remember really liking that film. It's a really fun movie. Bumblebee, to me, it's not a terrible film at all.
Bumblebee is fourth place.
Bumblebee is the best.
No, it's lower on the list.
For me. Oh, okay. I thought you were going from.
It's not the worst Transformers movie because what's its face? Predacons Rising exists, which just kind of feels like a glorified special. And if we're counting fan films, then Galvatron's Revenge makes the bottom.
Well, kind of talking more about theatrical releases.
For theatrical releases, Bumblebee's just kind of my least favorite. It doesn't work. It's the biggest issue.
You like that? You like that less than freaking Age of Extinction?
There's parts of Age of Extinction I hate more than Bumblebee, for certain.
Dude, Age of Extinction, the way it glorifies China is disgusting. Fuck that movie with a 10-foot pole.
There's parts of Age of Extinction I don't like at all. But say what you want about the Bayverse films, the later ones specifically, they all at least feel like weird films. Just like, what are you doing? Or weird decisions that I find interesting. Bumblebee
What's
is
interesting about Bay's movies? They're all the same fucking movie, and they're all as by the books and cliche as possible. They're not creatively weird. They're just incredible cliche marketing
really
crap.
Strange choices in those films that I heavily enjoy. Bumblebee.
Well, so what? Anyone can get drunk and write up a script, and you'd probably praise it.
Hold on, I want to hear what Arkham's reasoning is. What you say about Bumblebee?
With Bumblebee is it was. After the last night, for a lot of people, this was the correct movie to get back. I guess it's also a reboot, but Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast in their own universe. So it's like, even though, regardless of my thoughts on Bayverse, they weren't doing that hot. Last Night did not do very well, even though what's funny is that the other films, the box offices were somehow worse. But regardless, they needed something quick. No one was that really wanting to see The Last Night. They needed a course correction. They had to turn that Bumblebee movie into its own thing.
Yeah,
and they had
needed
to
a
make
course
it a
correction.
little more
That-
streamlined, make it a lot more sense. And I understand that. I understand perfectly fine. It was a necessary film to hopefully put the franchise in a better view, because those movies, Bayverse films, were not doing well critically. They were
You're
getting
kind of
destroyed.
selling the movie. You're kind of selling the movie more than losing the movie so far right now, Arkham. I'm waiting for you to mention some, in your opinion, bad things about the movie.
Necessary. I'm trying to be fair here. That's the difference. I'm trying to be fair here with myself. I'm not saying, oh, it just wasn't for me. It felt more like kind of like some of the films I watched that were from the 80s, but kind of diluted. There was some good casting. Some of the characters were just poorly handled in general. There's a lot of cliches.
Like who?
Specifically, any character. A lot of the back extra characters or side characters just kind of felt there. I understand what they were doing with Charlie.
They weren't particularly grating, like freaking Wheelie from Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, humping Megan Fox's
they are
leg.
just kind of there. I'll agree, but whereas the characters in the Bay movies are the most annoying jackasses you've ever felt in your life, and we have to watch Sam's.
I wouldn't argue that, because there's one other movie character. There's several other movie characters that I think are arguably much worse in different films, but I'm not going to get into those because you're probably not familiar. Well, there is one movie you might be familiar with. Now I was thinking of. For me, it's like, I don't know. They just weren't
you
there.
kind of interrupted Loudmouth. Loudmouth, what'd you say?
No, keep going. I actually got to turn out because I have to work in the morning. But I'll talk to you guys all later.
All right. Talk to you later, I guess.
All right.
Loudmouth, thanks for joining along.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Bye.
But yeah, no, for me, just a lot of the characters weren't there. A lot of the ones that weren't Bumblebee. And for some, I'm kind of sick of the Bumblebee without a voice. And they do it on that movie. And I'm like,
I mean, that's something that your favorite director started out with, as far as
that was cool that was cool when they started out with it. I was fine with it. But every other version of Bumblebee has been just like that ever since then, except Animated. Animated didn't do that, but Prime did it. Cyberverse did it. No, RID 2015 didn't do it. The Bayverse kept doing it. They kept not progressing Bumblebee's character, so he kept doing the same shtick over and over again.
Yeah, I personally do find it dumb, but again, this is a con on Michael Bay more than Bumblebee himself, because by Revenge of the Fallen, that he should have his voice box repaired, because at the end of the first one, he was talking, saying, "I want to stay with the boy," but for some
I know.
reason, by the second one, he's still using his radio again to talk instead of his actual voice.
No, it's not saying I disagree. I'm just saying at that point, especially at 2018, we should have. This is a new universe. It's okay for Bumblebee to talk. But then again, you could also blame that on, I forgot the guy, Lorenzo.
Yeah, but the thing is that in the Bumblebee / ROTB continuity, they haven't shown yet any opportunity for him to repair his voice yet.
Okay, I'm saying the fact they had Blitzwing, the seeker that damaged Bumblebee's bots. Why did they need to? I guess I understand, because they needed to, because Lorenzo's weird, the producer. He's like, okay, we need guys to connect to the Bayverse, even though they aren't. Hasbro says they are, but Lorenzo wants them to. So I kind of understand that thought process, but at the same token, after all these years, where for the majority of things in the Transformers universe, when it comes to like different shows or whatever, Bumblebee still has no voice. And in the movies, they kind of way too late reintroduced that fact that he could speak again. It's just tiring. And a new universe where you could restart from fresh, and they still keep doing it. That annoyed me.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't huge on Charlie's character.
If you think that the behind the scenes reasoning as to why they did it was for some cynical appeal to nostalgia, be all like, hey, remember this
No, it's
fairly
not
good
that. It's because
artistic choice that Michael Bay did. We're doing it again here. Well, then,
no, it's
but
because
still.
Lorenzo is an idiot and he still wants the Bayverse to continue, even though Michael Bay himself even only did 4 and 5 because he was kind of forced to. Because Michael Bay wanted to do after the third movie, he was done with the franchise, but he was kind of like convinced, okay, no, you need to be back in these movies. Like, fine. So like afterwards, it's just I don't know. It's Lorenzo's weirdness. He has to keep it connected to Bayverse, even when it isn't. That's the reason, not nostalgia. It's because that's
connected.
What he wants.
Wait, how are they trying to connect the RTB and Bumblebee continuity to Bay formers?
Because Lorenzo wants them to be part of the Bayverse.
Well,
because
the thing is, I don't see that they are actually. I mean, okay.
Oh no, they
I
aren't.
understand his
They
desire,
aren't.
but they're. But the thing is that they're. I guess I don't understand your point here.
No, my point is very simply put, because of Lorenzo's just weird obsession, and because everything after 07 kept trying to do it. The fact that they brought back the voice, the fact he doesn't have a voice still, or they removed his voice box, kind of feels like for this brand new universe, you could start fresh and not do it again. But nope, we're doing it again. It's not the main reason why I don't feel as like I still like the film. This isn't me saying I hate the film. I still like it. It's a fun enough movie. It's just
the
feels
weakest
very
of the theatrical
safe.
releases, in your opinion.
It's a very safe movie, and that kind of is what kills it for me. It's for.
Well, here's the thing: like safe movies doesn't always mean bad. Like, they took a lot of risk with, like, say, for example, The Last Night. And from what I hear of Pointless Hub's review of that movie, it sounds like absolute dog shit. Like, they unceremoniously kill off Sam Witwicky, and Bumblebee doesn't even have a reaction to that, and the weird ass edits that they have for it, and a lot of other things for it. And
oh no,
it's Age of Extinction took a few risks, I guess, too. But at least Bumblebee, like, reeled back some of the action, because I like balls to the wall action. Heck, I recently watched Con Air and I thought that was kind of bonkers. But at the same time, the freaking Age of Extinction was just way overwhelming and way too mind-numbing with of how it just dragged out that last action scene in the end. Whereas Bumblebee, I like the fact that they decided to let us take more breathers than Age of Extinction did. And plus, there wasn't as much stupid, cringy dialogue.
For me, it just didn't really click. I don't know. I don't hate it. I'm not saying it's a bad film. Let me make this clear. It's a fine kind of 80s-esque person finds alien and they befriend an alien, but the government is trying. I think there was a billion of one of those kind of movies released.
Okay,
I've seen a lot of those films. It's if we were to rank it amongst those, it would be one of the higher ones. But for me, it's say what you want. Again, the Bayverse films, especially later on, got really sloppy with their stories, really bad. But
yeah, like
generally, they were interesting.
In Revenge of the Fallen, apparently,
there was no script. Yeah, there was like no script during the making.
Well, okay, yeah, that's probably part of the problems, but I was about to mention a more specific example of that. Like, I always like to bring up this one. Like, Jetfire is narrating the story. He's all like, the Fallen is stronger than his brothers, also while showing on screen that the Primes are easily kicking his ass, and they could have easily killed him right then and there, but instead they inexplicably decide to create this chamber by fusing their bodies together to hide the matrix of leadership away, instead of killing his ass like they easily could have, as shown on the clip there. But no. It's like a complete, I'm not saying that these contradiction.
These are also again, there was no script because that movie was made during the writer's strike, and they needed to like release it during a certain deadline, I think.
Yeah, I've learned that
because that movie went through many rewrites and redos and changes. The original script for that movie was going to be kind of similar because the Fallen was supposed to be there, like a Megatronus Prime, which is his actual name.
Yeah.
But Megatronus Prime / the Fallen was the main villain. But Ultra Magnus and Rodimus were supposed to be there. Hot Rod.
Right.
They were supposed to be there. It was supposed to be end very differently. It's supposed to be a very different film than what we got. Although there are probably some changes that were for the better, because there was one character in one of the original treatments for Revenge of the Fallen that was just like a really stereotypical Asian character. He had he only learned English through like movies. It was really bad.
Wait,
They
what
like
stereotypical Asian character was in Revenge
he
of
was
the
like
Fallen?
okay, so you know the college roommate he had, the conspiracy guy in Revenge of the Fallen.
I thought he was
Sam
more
college.
Arab than Asian.
No. The original version.
Oh,
The
they
original
okay. You're
version of
talking about
that
in the
character
original
was supposed to be
script.
an Asian guy who only
Instead, it
learned
was going to be
English
an
through
Asian guy
movies.
instead of Mr. Despitz, Spaz
Yes.
Despitz.
Yes, he was supposed to be. There was an Asian character that was supposed to be in his place that only learned English through films.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. Okay, actually, were they going to like portray him as that, as some stereotypical like Wong Tong Ching Chong, like a Asian racist caricature kind of character?
From what the treatment said, potentially the problem is that was one of the treatments. The movie kept changing as they were filming it. That's why the film, how
They
all
kept
your
changing
complaints
it,
about
and
consistency,
one of the versions
that's the
that
reason why.
Wait, I'm a little bit confused. Was in the story he was going to be like some
Yes,
racist
that
character?
character. That was his roommate was supposed to be different. He had a different roommate.
He was originally going to be an Asian racist caricature.
Yes.
Okay, well then, I guess we can say that Despitz was just even as grating as Despitz was, at least he wasn't as grating as a Asian racist caricature would have been.
Would have been who only knows English films.
And I will say this, as a kind of annoying Ken Jeong was in the third movie, there was still a tiny bit of a badass side to him, and he wasn't quite as Asian racist. Actually, no. He hardly was at all Asian racist caricature, aside from the fact that he was in the elevator being all like, "Can I finish off my Wushang milk?" or whatever Asian brand milk it was that he was drinking.
Yeah. But again, I don't know. Bumblebee is not a bad film, but it's the one that I have the least interest in, and it's the one that it was also because you have to be there is, and it's lessened exponentially less. But for a long time in the Transformers fandom, there was this G1 fanaticism. Like anything that's not G1 is bad.
Okay,
and
I
soon
I get that.
As Bumblebee came out, and as soon as the opening scene, which was rushed, it was made. It's kind of like the Spawn, the Spawn movie, right? With Malboja, the CG.
I haven't seen any of the Spawn movies.
Okay. There was only one. Well, technically, there was one Spawn movie in the animated series, but it had that same issue where that particular scene was done in a week. It was done very quickly.
Are you talking about when you say opening scene? You're talking about the one of where that they show a little bit of the war on Cybertron?
Yeah, War on Cybertron. That was last minute. That was entirely last minute, and you could tell because none of the Transformers except Bumblebee could actually transform. Like their models, they did not have an ult mode for any of those, except the Seekers and Bumblebee.
And they all looked pretty one-to-one, the same as the G1 models.
Yeah, a lot of them were very G1 based, and it had the weird. It was, oh my goodness, it's finally G1. See, guys, this is what they should have been like. And you have and it's like anything as in G1 is bad, and those kind of people loved it. Wouldn't shut up about this is what it really should be, and that crew kind of grating. It's just this,
I get it,
G1
and I am
fanaticism.
glad that they decided to dial it back on that just a little bit, and now Rise of the Beast, Optimus Prime is like a bit of a combination of G1 and 07, and I like it for that design, personally. And RC looks kind of G1-esque, but also not exactly.
Yeah. She doesn't have that creepy face as well that the Bumblebee movie version had, because if you look at that face, that thing is freakish.
Okay, so a quick question. Where would you put how would you rank them? Like we got 07 at number 1, Transformers.
Do you want to be objective with them, or in my overall enjoyment? Because when I rate movies, I rate it with a combination of how I actually feel about it versus the entertainment I had for that. I try to be honest with my ratings.
I kind of took, I don't know, go off of whatever metric that you were originally
I'm going to go off of my overall metric of that just combines not really objective, but you could say objective, but with my overall entertainment value,
I mean, I'll give
enjoyment.
you like my own way of gauging Christmas movies as an example. Like, I think, okay, Tim Allen Santa Claus is my number one favorite Christmas movie of all time. But I say that saying that It's a Wonderful Life is, in my opinion, objectively speaking, the best Christmas movie of all time from an objective standpoint. I love it a lot, but I don't have as much nostalgic like feel good feelings for it as the Santa Claus, as Tim Allen Santa Claus.
Funny you mentioned that because that's kind of the reverse for me. Well, not the reverse. I mean, I have a lot more experience with It's a Wonderful Life. I enjoy it a lot more than the Santa Claus. I like Santa Claus, but generally speaking, I'm not that compared to It's a Wonderful Life. Nowhere near.
But anyway, back on Transformers.
So for me, the ranking is 07.
Okay.
TF1. This is purely on my overall feelings of the film, regardless of how I think them objectively.
Okay.
Because that's a whole lot of weird. It's kind of actually more of a mixture between the two. My brain works weird.
Okay, third place
07,
is 86, right?
Yes, 86. Rise of the Beasts.
Okay.
ROTF, AOE, Last Night, B. Actually,
AOE,
no, it's DOTM. It's AOE, D, Last Night, Dark of the Moon, and B. Dark of the Moon is probably the most overrated of the Bayverse films to me.
Wait. So to reiterate, 07 at number 1, number 2 is TF1, number 3 is 86, number 4 is Beasts, number 5 is Revenge of the Fallen, number 6 is Age of Extinction, number 7 is what?
Last Night. Number 8. The next one after that is Dark of the Moon, and the Bumblebee is the last
number
one.
8 and Bumblebee as number 9.
All the lower ranking ones are either ones that with major interference or just kind of safe. Bumblebee for me is safe. It's just too safe. Revenge of the Fallen is as obvious as the rewrites are, the heavy rewrites. I still find it very entertaining. I like a lot of it. I think there's some really good like conceptual ideas that they were going for. Age of Extinction, there's a lot of parts of that are downright terrible. I can agree with you there. I agree with a lot of people there. But there's a lot of parts that I really enjoy, and there's a lot of aspects I really enjoy. The Last Night is a mess, story-wise, and there's a lot of parts that make no sense. But it's still it's so fascinating and strange that I can't help but at least get something out of it. Dark of the Moon is fun, but the ending kind of sucks because when Optimus killed Megatron.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a very different ending entirely. Like completely different. Megatron would have lived, Optimus would have spared him.
Yeah, I go hearing about that. I said, yeah, I hear about that from Pointless Hub. Listen to his reviews of that, and I kind of wish that they would have went with that because with the ending that they had, even before I got my analytical movie reviewing brain, as a young teenager, I saw that scene and I was like, this does not feel right. Like he feels kind of evil, and I mean, taking into account all Transformers media, it's a very big deviation from his usual character. Like he's just a cold-hearted psychopath. Like the original Optimus Prime would not randomly just 180 kill Megatron after he saved his ass. He would at least like let him walk away in the moment and then maybe take him as he goes, maybe kill him some years later or something like that if situations got worse from there.
Okay.
And he definitely
I have several
would not
arguments.
do a cold-blooded like execution of Sentinel Prime like that. What you were saying?
Okay, so there's two things with that. Number one, which G would Optimus? Are we talking about TV show G Optimus with all the restrictions, or movie 86 movie Optimus where he was going to kill Megatron? He was straight up going to murder him.
The basis that I'm running off of is pretty much the G1 Optimus personality. Like that's pretty much in my opinion, that's like the epitome representation of Optimus Prime was in the 86 movie. Like in Transformers 1, it looks like that they're building up to him having that personality. And what am I trying to say? But they don't actually see it fully on screen of where that he has that paternal personality and all that other stuff, so, or at least not that long on screen. And so therefore, that's why I rank it second place for a representation of Optimus compared to 86. And third place, in my opinion, probably '07. Like, as much as I thought that Optimus was a little bit too much of a pacifist with trying to reserve wanting to kill or needing to kill Megatron at the end battle there, or at least I would have to rewatch it again. I don't know if he like actually had a reservation of
No, he
killing
didn't have a reservation of killing
an
Megatron.
evil.
He had he wanted to, didn't want to like. I think his mindset at the time was like he didn't want. At the last resort, he wanted to end up dying through the Matrix. He wanted to do what happened with Megatron. To sacrifice his own life so Megatron can't get his goals. That was his mindset at the time. He would lay his own life down.
Again?
What? So he basically, to make it simple, he wanted to lay his own life down. Like how Megatron got killed through the Matrix. Sam shoved the Matrix into his chest, and he died. That was what Optimus wanted to do. He's like, put the Matrix in me. I'll sacrifice myself as long as Megatron doesn't get the Matrix in any capacity. That was kind of his goal. As long as he doesn't get the Matrix, he'll be fine. That was his mission.
I mean, I guess I get that. Maybe it's just like a little bit of sloppiness of showing it on screen. Maybe he did not have reservations of wanting to kill Megatron, but I don't know. It's still
I don't think that was an element of the story. That wasn't the part of the story. Like him wanting to kill Megatron wasn't really a factor. It was getting the Matrix away from him. That was what the first movie
I get that. And
there was no discussion about him killing Megatron or not. Actually, what I was going to say,
Rise of the Beast is probably fourth place. Well, as an overall movies, I'm not ranking these movies based off of overall movie packages. I'm basing these off of representation of Optimus. Rise of the Beast is probably fourth place in my book, mostly because there was a few points of where that it did not feel like Optimus to me. He just seemed a little bit too hard edge and hard ass. Maybe they're trying to build up to where that in the second movie, in the Rise of the Beast continuity of where that he will be a little bit more paternal like he was in the 86 movie. But because we have yet to see that I rank Rise of the Beast fourth place.
Well, I don't think we're going to ever see that, knowing by Hasbro's latest just abandoning their film thing, like directly being tied to film. They've basically abandoned that at this point.
Really? They're not even going to try to do a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover
They
movie?
might, but without Hasbro being directly involved.
Wow.
That's the thing. Hasbro, because of how the latest batch of movies did for them, they've just kind of canned it all together. And also Hasbro's general financial woes in general. Like, it's been a really bad few years for them. No.
And then Bumblebee, maybe I'll put Bumblebee at fifth place, and largely because there's very little that we see of Optimus, and then maybe Revenge of the Fallen. Even then, he seems to be a little bit too hard edge, and then the rest of them just kind of fall into some category of just plain bad representation of him.
I also didn't really finish my point with Dark of the Moon Optimus, by the way.
Okay, sorry, go on.
It was because of, well, if we were Optimus, we were talking about G1. B, with Optimus, okay, him getting fed up with Megatron at that point, and like, no, you're dying. Fine, I have no issue with that. My issue was that it's very clearly a last-minute decision from the movie because Michael Bay was like, okay, it's been spoiled. We need to change the ending. I'm like, okay, so yeah, I don't know. Would have it been better if they did the original ending? Probably. I would have liked that at least. But at the same token, like, also keep in mind that Optimus is differently written compared to different versions. Like, Armada's version of Optimus is very like he loves the thrill of combat. Like,
Armada is the one with the good guy representation of Starscream, right?
The one who becomes like a good guy, yes.
Okay. Go on.
No. I don't know. I generally like what they were going for with Optimus in the Bayverse films, as kind of someone who was started off generally optimistic about like humans slowly over time feeling betrayed even by his own kind and his former mentor Sentinel, and then just kind of becoming a bitter and easily manipulated individual. I like that particular thing, and for the most part they did it well enough. again, there are issues with the Bayverse films, but I generally like how Optimus is portrayed. And it's also certainly more unique because every version of Optimus, for a while, because it's the G1 fanaticism, is he's the stoic, perfect leader who gives inspirational speeches. And it gets really boring. They did that with Prime. They did that. Well, no, they didn't really do the RAD 2015. They just made him a bumbling idiot in RAD 2015. They did it with Cyberverse. They did that kind of in Earthspark, although they made him a more bumbling idiot. They've done that with basically, and in the comics and other media, they've basically done that.
If it's not broke, then why fix it?
The problem is it feels like the same character over and over and over again with no real changes.
But if you cannot find an actual, in my opinion, if you cannot find an actually good but also creative way of portraying him, instead you got creative and kind of bad ways of portraying the character, well then don't do it.
I mean, I think that a lot of the more interesting Primes, at least to me, are the Primes that do differentiate. I like the Bayverse. Have you seen animated yet?
The one of where that in the first episode he starts out as the leader of a mining crew.
Yes.
No, not
very different character from his original. But I like it. It's an interesting take. I'll have
to see it. I mean, I'm not going to be like an absolute purist when it comes to Optimus Prime, but it's just Dark of the Moon that I think really truly shits the bed. Like I don't mind if, in fact, I would prefer if he did like end up resorting to, hey, I do got to kill Megatron, as opposed to how he throughout most of his history has had a reservation, especially in Transformers Prime. But at the end of season 1, he does resort, okay, yeah, no, I do got to kill Megatron. It's just any like deviations from it, like I just don't know of how else it could be portrayed well. It's not like it's a case of Starscream, of where that pretty much every iteration of Starscream, he's just a scheming, conniving, kind of weak little weasel, except for in Armada, where that he's an actual good guy, and in Bayformers, of where that he's not really scheming and betraying. He's just like
he's random, a suck up.
Yeah, he's a random.
He's like a complete suck up in the Bayverse films, like just a complete slimy suck up.
Right. And very quickly, I know that we have our disagreements on the physical design of Bayverse Starscream, but can we at least admit that the personality portrayal of Starscream was the worst in that iteration?
I wouldn't say so, because there are versions of Starscream that I think are infinitely worse. I think the later, like Energon, Starscream was particularly bad. I really wasn't huge on Cyberverse's Starscream at all. Earthspark really didn't work too much for me. Oh god. I like G1 Starscream.
What about Transformers Prime though?
I like his character. I just think, well, Prime has a billion issues for me, mainly due to the fact that Prime keeps recycling the same stories over and over and over and over and over and over again, because the writers are just kind of working on fumes at points.
I do kind of think that there is a little bit of messiness of where that it seems that they completely drop arcs either for too long or just drop them completely in the series. I mean, I do like it overall. Like, I like the arc of Prime, where that he at first is all like, I don't want to kill Megatron, but then he eventually comes to, yeah, I do got to kill Megatron. I love the shit out of Starscream. Like, he's more dignified than the G1 version, and he is more interesting than the Bayformers version. And that's pretty much all I have to go off by, personally. I haven't seen Starscream in any other iteration.
I mean, I generally like Starscream. I haven't really found a version of Starscream that I've hated at all, except Energon. But I don't think anyone cares about Energon Starscream. But generally, and I wasn't huge on. I just didn't like Cyberverse in general. Cyberverse is terrible. Earthspark Starscream is kind of whatever. I don't know. I generally like Starscream as a character. I've yet to find a version of him I just don't like, period, or like really don't like. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't mind Prime's character. I like Bayverse's character. I love that he's essentially a slimy coward. Do I think the way they killed him off was good? No, I thought it was stupid. In Dark
and where? Oh,
Dark of the Moon, where they killed him off because when Sam and
Lennox,
I don't think his name is, put the grenade in his eye, and he's kind of like flying, like going around, and then his head blows up.
That seemed pretty rushed. That was very freaking rushed.
Yeah, that's just not a very good. It was dumb. It was very dumb.
What was I gonna say? I guess you don't mind if I like rewind us back to Transformers 1, do you?
Oh no, that's fine. I want to talk about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Transformers 1. Like a great movie overall. The worst part about it though to me was Keegan Michael Key as Bumblebee.
I didn't mind him as Bumblebee. I thought he did a
Mm,
good
mm.
enough job. I'm
The
glad they at
voice
least
acting was
attempted to
fine.
do.
It's just the repeating the whole shtick of "I'm badassatron, badassatron," saying badassatron for the dozenth time. It just got old, and it was like, "Shut up, get new material." Like the one and only joke that he made me laugh was when he was all like, "Can you believe it? I'm about to work for the government." It's like, who gets excited for this shit? I don't know if that was intentionally. If that was intended to be a joke on the part of the writers, but it turned out to be a joke for me being a libertarian and all that.
It's a again. I really love TF1. It's a very well done film. I was shocked by how good it was. Yeah, no, I heavily enjoyed it.
You
I
don't
have to
got much
disagree
to
with
say
Loudmouth.
about
I
it, it
didn't
seems.
mind the fact that I like because I think with the whole point of Optimus and like Megatron disagreeing about them killing the Sentinel, I think it made an interesting point because it's like I know it's probably a point that's been done before, but I think it was really well done there.
Oh yeah, this was the point that we had to get back to. Optimus Prime can't kill. It'll make us the bad guys. Loudmouth isn't here to defend himself, but he kind of dislikes that point. I mean, and I'm kind of on board with that because I mean maybe it makes sense that Optimus would not want to do like a executive order execution on him before he's even given like a jury trial, but I
Yeah.
definitely I definitely would not take a bullet for somebody as cold and callous as Sentinel Prime is though. Like that didn't
I
make
think
any
it
sense
was
to
him.
me.
Was like try to at least do it for the proper means because Megatron's whole thing was he was just randomly destroying everything, killing innocent civilians in the process. He kills Sentinel Prime. He like rips out his spark, does the same thing Sentinel did with Megatronus Prime. Becomes Megatron and then starts killing everyone in the sight. He orders the High Guard to kill everyone in his sight, everything in sight, and killing all innocent civilians. That's where I think Optimus was trying to prevent Megatron from becoming Sentinel, just killing anything that or trying to like worm his way or to become like a big hot shot, like big leader, like a tyrant. And I think it works. I think it's a genuinely interesting idea.
So your theory is that Optimus Prime thought that if Megatron was to just unilaterally kill Sentinel Prime without a jury trial, that would just psychologically push him over the edge.
Well, I think also he noticed how Megatron was because remember the speech where on D16 before he officially becomes Megatron, it's like he's having that like raving rant, like that psychopathic rant after he learns Sentinel's betrayal to the Quintessons.
What's was it really psychopathic? I don't know if I can't. Okay, granted, I cannot remember the speech that well, but I don't know if I would like particularly call that psychopathic on his part. Like the only true psychopath in the whole movie was Sentinel Prime himself. I mean, D16 slash Megatron was a bad guy, or at least did eventually become a bad guy in his own right. But if we had to like go, maybe the quintessence are like more evil than Sentinel Prime, but still Sentinel Prime was like the most evil villain, most evil character.
I mean, I'm not saying that Megatron's like the most evil. I'm just saying it's the idea of because Megatron was like really his brand was really extreme. Again, understandable. The movie does. I like that they don't like say, "Oh, his reaction is wrong." It's the reaction, especially him, someone who was devoted to all the primes, including Sentinel, would react to. But it ended up his particular that breaking point, what led him to taking over the High Guard, like strangling Starscream, and taking over the High Guard, and then him becoming as violent as he did. You could argue that because Sentinel's actions created Megatron in a way.
Okay.
Optimus was a bit more rebellious in nature. He started off very rebellious, like, I want to explore more. And he kind of realized, okay, Sentinel isn't doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's being a traitor. We need to do this. It's like we need to actually take him, do the right way. We need to do it. Oh, his opinion was the right way. And I found that particularly interesting for TF1. For a kids movie, that's actually kind of a nice, interesting, morally complex thing they're trying to do, and I heavily appreciate it, especially considering how high Sentinel was in power.
I think that's definitely something that Loudmouth appreciates, is that it wasn't like oh, a villain is just evil for the sake of evil, or like it's a random like evil villain. No, the movie like portrayed an evil politician who's like scheming behind the scenes. Something more complex than Illuminations normally does with their villains. And
Illuminations are a very different kind of movies than TF1.
Whereas,
regardless,
in both my and his opinion, the marketing for this movie made it look like it was just going to be an Illumination-esque kind of movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
So, again, it was Sentinel Prime. Like, they gave a pretty clear motivation for why he's doing the thing. He's doing it because he wanted to be like where the 13 primes were. He wanted to be, I wanted to be in their position because I'm getting bored, but I want to do it my way. I want to gain all the power and do everything. So he works with the enemy, like the supposed winning team. And he's like, okay, I'm going to betray my guys so I can get the stuff I want. And even like he also envied Megatronus because the speech, like, oh, Megatronus, when he sees the sticker, the Megatronus sticker on the D16's shoulder, he's like, oh yeah, Megatronus, he was the greatest, most powerful. That's why I took his cog for myself. So it's kind of like there's a bit of envy in him. He's generally a very envious person, and he kind of wants what they had, but like more on the winning. He felt was the winning side, which is why he worked with the Quintessons, why he kept giving them their energon, so he can live his luxurious life the way he wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I generally liked it. I liked the Lita one. It was a.
She kind of annoyed me personally. Like
okay, yeah, she started off as a jerkish character, but I think as the film
her arrogance got pretty grating for me.
That's fair. I've always been a fan of Lita one, so I was glad they had her in there. I think Scarlett Johansson actually did pretty good. I think when she's allowed to, she can actually act really well. Have you seen the movie Her?
No.
When we're walking, really good film. She was great in that. She's been great in a lot of things. I just think also the MCU films have kind of cornered people's opinions on her as an actress. I'm not saying her as a person.
Cornholed people's opinions.
Cornered.
Oh, cornered.
It's like,
I don't know why.
Okay,
I don't know why I thought I heard cornholed. Cornered. I got you though.
You say that pigeonholed would have been better. Word. Pigeonholed. They kind of pigeonholed her as an actress. She's like stoic assassin, bland woman. I'm like, she can actually act outside of that. She can actually do interesting performances. There was a movie you've probably never seen, The Other Boylan Girl. Not my favorite movie in the world. It was just kind of all right, but she was pretty good in that. It was a character that you don't see her play too much. Just anytime she does like a stoic, except like Alita 1 had more emotions and stoicism to her. But anytime she plays like stoic assassin lady or stoic evil villain lady, it's not that interesting usually. It's pretty bland. But that's just not her strength. I don't know. I generally like her as an actress. I thought she did well in there. I didn't mind B. I actually was really surprised by Chris Hemsworth's Orion / Optimus Prime. I thought he did really good.
Yeah, I thought that he was all right. I mean, this is an area that me and Loudmouth diverge on. I mean, I'm sorry for earlier where it seemed like me and him were like tag teaming / dogpiling on you for your opinions of Bayformers, but something that me and him at least diverge on is Chris Hemsworth. Like, I thought he was fine. I mean, maybe it would have been better if Peter Cullen was brought on, but at the same time, they're trying to portray a young Optimus
They're being a younger, and Peter Cullen is, especially now, really bad health wise. Like I think he's in the hospital right now because it's getting really bad for him health wise.
He's in the hospital right now?
Yeah, he's like really bad health wise.
Like,
I know for
right
certain.
now?
Yeah, he's doing really bad health wise. So like, yeah, no, he's not doing. I know Gary Chalk, who did Primal, Beast Wars, and Prime, and the Unicron trilogy. He's also like he's in the hospital. He has like a serious medical condition. Like both of those guys are like not in the best shape, and you can even tell in Rise of the Beasts, like his voice is not the same. He just doesn't sound right anymore. He did Peter Cullen.
Well, I thought you were mentioning someone else. Sorry.
I mentioned someone else as well who also portrayed Prime, but Peter Cullen's voice is obviously just not the same as it used to be. So him being like younger Optimus Prime would have been a really bad decision. It just would not work.
Honestly, in my opinion, I'm like thinking about it in my head. I'm trying to imagine all the lines from Orion Pax in TF1 with a Peter Cullen voice, and it just feels out of place the more I think about it.
It does.
Like maybe if they do a sequel to Transformers 1, a Transformers 2, anyone, maybe then they can like bring in Peter Cullen or something. But I think it's all right for how Transformers 1 currently is. And honestly, when Peter Cullen kicks the bucket, I think Chris Hemsworth I think he's at least a worthy voice actor. I do not know if he's the voice actor to take up the mantle, but he's definitely a contender in my book.
If his career starts to become more like he just gets less of the big roles, which I highly doubt will be the case, but if he starts getting less big roles, he might end up being like Mark Hamill, where he appears a lot as the Joker. And this time with Optimus Prime. That might be the case. If that happens, I'm up for it because I loved him in TF1 as Prime. That was a surprisingly good portrayal.
Though I will say one thing that I thought that was better, and Loudmouth definitely does as well, is Brian Tyree Henry as D16 / Megatron.
Yeah.
Like especially like going towards the end, like his voice was all right for the first 2/3 of the movie, him playing as D16, but when he becomes Megatron, there were at times where I was listening to his voice and it sounded like he was putting on, in my opinion, a fairly decent Frank Welker impersonation, or at least it sounded Frank Welker-esque, some lines he delivered. You sound like you're befuddled. Hello? Hello? I can't hear you right now, Arkham. Are you there? Let's see. Hello? I can't hear you right now, Arkham. Are you there? That was that was me listening to my own live stream from my phone right there, and yeah, I think we might have lost connection with Arkham Knight Rider. Hey, I lost you. Are you there still? Oh yeah, he dropped out now. Okay. He might try to get back in. Oh, phone died, is what it tells me. Well, shit. Do you have a computer, or is this the end for our convo? Well, I would chat with people in the live stream, except there's nobody watching / listening, much less chatting right now. There's 3 people watching. One of those people includes me, and probably the second person is Arkham. I don't know who the third person. Well, actually, I'm listening to this stream, or I have it pulled up on my computer with my Darkon Entertainment account, and then I'm watching the live chat on my phone with the Dark Conservatarian YouTube account. So yeah, I'm definitely contributing to 2 of the 3 live viewers right now. Maybe that third one is Arkham. So, literally nobody else is watching it. So I'm kind of sad. But the only person who chatted was Frank JGZ. He said, "Hello, gentlemen." Haven't seen a response from him of him saying, "Sorry, I'll be right back." I don't know what I should do. Can I at least get a response? I mean, if he's not able to come back, then he's not able to come back, and I'll just end this live stream. I wanted to hear him say the rest of his point. Okay, here we go. Hi again.
Yeah, no, my phone died, and I forgot to put a charge.
Your audio sounds a tad bit better, tad bit higher quality.
Yeah, well, I remember. What the fuck was that? Shit. Okay. Yeah, we're also talking about my. Where the fuck's my axe? That's awesome. Oh, there is. Okay. Yeah, because what's its face? This is my Surface. Excuse me.
What?
You there?
Yeah, I'm
there?
here.
Okay.
I'm here.
But yeah, no, this was on my Surface, so of course I'm gonna be a little more. Have my audio be a little better. But yeah, what were you saying earlier?
I can't remember what point I was on. I was on about Brian Tyree Henry. Oh yeah, okay. Actually, that's I was going on about Brian Tyree Henry. Thought that the first 2/3 of his performance he did good as D16, but when he turned into Megatron, I thought he put on a kind of a Frank Welker-esque impersonation for the character, and so he did a good job. And so, the thing that I kind of wanted to mention was that you can go ahead and like cast a person who is like not the same race as the predecessor, just as long as they can like exude the personality of the character they're playing as. And in the case of Brian Tyree Henry, who's a black guy, playing the role of a guy who's normally played by white guys, Frank Welker and Hugo Weaving, who voiced Megatron before.
What else?
But he like embodies the personality in the last third of the movie when he turns into Megatron. So that's the important part about it.
I'm trying to think. I'm not horrors on your voice actors. No, Fred Tastic horror, white guy. There wasn't that. I think Jason something played Megatron, and he was really good. I liked his Megatron. But I have no issue with. I forgot his name. Brian. Yeah, Brian. I liked him. He was also. Are you familiar with Godzilla X Kong?
No, well, I haven't seen it.
Godzilla versus Kong, actually. Have you seen that?
Oh, Godzilla versus Kong. Yes, I've seen that movie.
You know the conspiracy guy that was with Millie Bobby Brown, that joined Millie Bobby Brown and the other kid?
Wait, that was Brian Tyree Henry?
That was him.
Wow, he lost weight since then.
Also, it was the same voice, yeah.
Okay. And I mean, out of all the human characters in that movie, I thought that he was actually the most entertaining character of the cast lineup. So, hey, I guess he's 2 for 2 on roles that I like him in.
Yeah. But yeah, generally speaking, he's a good actor. I liked him. I loved him as Megatron. He was really good. I love TF1. It was my second favorite movie of the year. Granted, I didn't see many movies this year that came out this year.
Right.
Because there wasn't many that was like really hooked me.
There is like one other flaw for me in the movie, and that would be and I know that he's like a very minor side character. He doesn't get a whole lot of screen time, but still bugged me of how they made Shockwave into a bitch. Like he's all like, "Why should we take orders from you?" Alita just like punches her palm, and he's suddenly like, "We'll take orders from you."
I found that part kind of funny, but also, I don't know.
It's very like first graders elementary style humor that you'd expect from an Illumination movie. It's like, we need the plot to go along. We need to make the plot happen. So what do? We just, make it happen, but try to do it in a quasi-humorous way. But it just doesn't work.
I'm also just kind of sick of Shockwave being like the especially IDW's comics, the IDW comics made him this like the main kind of he ended up being like the main villain that caused everything to happen. Everything is Shockwave, and he's the super powerful. I'm like, God, are you kidding me?
I mean,
Emotionless,
if they wanted to,
overpowered. So like, I'm kind of glad they did something different with his character for once. It's like there's so many times where he's the cold guy who does who's cold and evil. Cool. I mean, they might end up doing that with his character later on, but maybe it's like an
honestly,
early version of Shockwave.
if in my opinion, if there is like a character that is designed to be tough or badass or whatever, and then some future iteration of that character decides to take some artistic liberty and make him kind of wimpy or whatever, I think that it's kind of hard to get that to execute and actually be good. Like, I don't know if I can think of a single example of where that I thought making a character bitch made has panned out in a good way. Like everybody mentions how Hulk got nerfed especially as the MCU got later and later on, and people don't even like him for of how that he was portrayed in Avengers. There's some people that actually feel kind of nostalgic for the Edward Norton version of Hulk as opposed to even the Avengers version of Hulk, for example.
Okay, maybe early Avengers one fine. Edward Norton, I've never liked him. I believe that's the same guy who did.
More specifically, talking about Hulk himself, of how like he was just a full balls to the wall rage monster, whereas in the MCU it feels like that they held
I'm
him back
thinking
too much.
of Eric Bana's Hulk. My bad. Edward Norton just didn't really do much, but Eric Bana I just did not like. His
Really?
Hulk. Yeah, I do
Honestly,
not like. Oh, then again, I don't like Eric Bana much as an actor.
I liked him a lot. I mean, he's the best character in Troy, and he gave like the rawest performance out of all the Bruce
I don't
Banners,
remember
in my
much of anything
opinion, in
about Troy,
that
even though
Hulk
I've seen
movie.
it.
Huh?
I've seen it. I just don't remember a thing about it. But it was fine enough. He was in
I gotta give
Troy.
it a rewatch myself, but yeah.
I thought he was fine enough in that, but like every other role I've seen him
But
in,
I did not mean to like get us too much on a tangent about that. I was just bringing up examples of
fair point.
like you go talking about how you like it, how they weakened Shockwave a bit. I'm just all like, meh, why?
Okay, also to be fair
Arkham?
with Shockwave, initially, if you go by certain lore, depending on the lore, he started off as a senator, who was kind of emotional a bit, and his other peers turned him into. I think he was either really emotional or not very emotional, but he was like the senator dude, very different design. And then his other peers basically kind of tortured him and made him into like this emotionless thing, like how Shockwave you know of. Like that's kind of the backstory of Shockwave, specifically in the like some of the comics. That's how he was.
Well, I don't know. I don't care if they like give Shockwave a little bit more attitude. Like, aside from the fact that he did not talk, it looked like that Shockwave had more attitude in the Dark of the Moon as opposed to him being overly stoic in the Transformers Prime, which I liked that interpretation of Shockwave in Transformers Prime. There was a certain cold callousness in that interpretation that worked, but I also kind of like of how that they were like gonna have him as a badass with attitude in Dark of the Moon. But at least in both versions, he was still a tough foe to be reckoned with. Whereas in Transformers 1, it's like they bitch made him.
Well, also, this is early Shockwave, like very early on. We're not talking about the current during post-war for Cybertron Shockwave, or worst Cybertron War Shockwave here, or
War for
during the war
Cybertron, like
itself.
the video game?
I'm talking about in general in terms of war, like the Cybertronian War, or War on Iacon, and all that. Like actual mythology wise, we're not talking about what like at that period for Shockwave where he's battle hardened and he's like completely cold. We're talking about a very early interpretation of the character, so I'm fine with it here. If it's not how he was throughout the majority of the series, I'll have a problem with that. But for now, for this early version, I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine with that.
I don't know. Maybe if they make a sequel of Transformers 1, they'll develop him a bit better to be more of a worthy foe. And
yeah,
I mean, it is kind of a minor flaw. It's not like Shockwave was as much on screen to annoy me as much as like Keegan Michael Bumblebee. Yeah, Keegan Michael Bumblekey. That's how I'll nickname him. No, Bumblekey. How about that? Bumblekey.
Fair enough. But again, I heavily enjoyed the film. What else?
It
What
was
other
very
movies did you want to
beautiful.
discuss, or did you already discuss them?
Huh?
I was
Sorry.
curious, what other movies did you want to discuss?
I'm not so sure if there was anything more that I did want to discuss. I mean, I guess we could have talked about Dune Part 2, but
I haven't seen that. I didn't see it in theaters.
yeah, the thing is that Loudmouth left. He would be the main person that I would talk to about that movie. I mean, one of the things that kind of frustrates me about Dune Part 2, though, at least the fallout of it, anyways, this isn't a fault on the movie. This is more of a fault of the fallout. Like, there are some people that just have like a Denis Villeneuve derangement syndrome. Like, there are some people. There's this Dune group that I am in on Facebook, and some of the people there just have the derangement syndrome of where that they'll say that literally every single quality about it is bad, say that every single actor is bad, or say that Zendaya is bad. And I'm thinking to myself, Zendaya did fine. I mean, if there was like one actor that I thought was actually bad, it'd probably be Dave Bautista as the Beast Raban. But then again, if you had to cast Dave Bautista in any role, it probably would be Beast Raban, because he is like the least like emotionally complex out of all the characters, according to the Dune lore, at least from what I can tell. But still, because of the way that the casting is, Dave Bautista is still the weakest. But the movie, Austin Butler as Fade Rotha was phenomenal. Like, definitely better than Sting's version of Fade Rotha in the original like 85 Dune movie from
84, but yeah. 84.
84?
Actually, was it 84 or 85? It was 84.
It might have been, I don't know, the 80s version, the David Lynch movie, like where that he's all like, I will kill him, just over the top megalomaniacal. I mean, I appreciate megalomania occasionally, but that was just a moment that did not do it for me. It just seemed not even entertaining, just seemed like forced and phoned in. Whereas in the Dune, in Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2, he's all like, is this your pet? Pointing to Zendaya's Chani when he's like gloating over Paul Atreides. It's just, there's a very cold and almost alien-like callousness to a way that Fade Rotha is portrayed in that movie from Austin Butler. And same thing goes with Baron Harkonnen, who is Fade Rotha's uncle, by the way. Stellan Skarsgård gave as phenomenal of a performance as the character in Dune Part 2 as he did in Dune Part 1. Good as ever. Very alien-like, cold, callous, and villainous. And Timothée Chalamet playing as Paul Atreides, he did great. Like, I cannot believe, like, if there was any role, any acting performance that I would have to say that people are like almost objectively wrong on, as far as when they say that every acting performance is bad, it'd probably be Austin Butler and Timothée Chalamet. Like, in the Dune novels, or at least in my listenings of Quinn's ideas, summaries of the Dune novels, Paul Atreides, especially as soon as he drinks the spice worm blood, I can't remember what the elixir exactly is called, but he becomes the Kwisatz Haderach at that point. And as soon as he becomes a Kwisatz Haderach, he's supposed to be like this just passively imposing and charismatic, powerful figure. And I could not exactly imagine of how that would look like if it was translated from book description to movie screen. But Denis Villeneuve and his camera crew and Timothée Chalamet, they panned that out very stellarly with flying colors. Like, I go watching the way that scene was portrayed, of where that he's like talking to all the Fremen after he's drank the elixir, and I'm just thinking to myself, oh shit, I would not want to argue or get in an argument with this guy because of the way that it was portrayed in that movie, of how imposing and everything that he was. It was just phenomenal and great. I will say that the action scenes, half of them were kind of rushed, and that kind of annoyed me. Originally, I came out thinking that the movie was an 8 out of 10, but the more I think about it, it's a 7 out of 10, which still like overall positive in my opinion. But knowing that Dave Bautista was still bad, and half the action scenes were pretty damn rushed. And knowing that there was some lore disloyalties that I did not really like, that I actually just flat out disliked. Like, for example, they did not. This isn't really spoilers. I mean, if you know about the lore, the Dune lore, but
I mean, I've seen the only thing I've seen besides the first part of Dune is the '80s film. So
okay, so you know what I'm talking about when I go mention this. But Paul Atreides has a sister that
Yeah.
Lady Jessica is pregnant with and gives birth to in the time of their 4 years of being in the desert. And in this time, like, she gives birth to the girl. Little girl is still kind of a toddler. She's like 3 or 4 years old. But because the Lady Jessica took some spice, that made it so that the baby like had the mentality of an adult. So she was able to like competently handle a Gum Jabbar poison dart and kill the Baron Harkonnen with it. But in this movie, they don't even have it so that she's born before the final battle of the movie. So who's gonna kill Baron Harkonnen? They have Paul Atreides do it. It's like, why? Why did you take this deviation from the lore, Denny? Like, I appreciate your work on a lot of this movie. Like, I don't even like, honestly, a lot of people like to bitch about Liet Kynes of how that and I understand the disloyalties. Like, I don't like the fact that they gender bent Liet Kynes to be a female when originally he was a male in the novels. And but I will say that I don't really mind so much the way that they changed up the way that she dies in the movie as compared to the books. But what pisses me off even more, actually, is how that they did not have Aaliyah, I believe is the name of Paul's little sister, born and have her kill the Baron Harkonnen instead of Paul. And the thing that would have been more cathartic about it is that Baron Harkonnen is a pedophile, according to the books. And in the movie, or at least I think it's supposed to be like at the end of the end battle, per according to the books, he like starts, you know, predating on Aaliyah, a 4-year-old, like about to sexually predate on her, and then she like stabs him with a Gum Jabbar to kill him. That would have been so cathartic to watch. A pedophile get his comeuppance by a little girl. But no, apparently can't have that in a Hollywood movie because they think that being mean to pedos is bad or something like that.
I mean, there's been plenty of movies where pedophiles get killed in Hollywood films. I don't know.
Yeah, I in some, but I guess, and I'm not going to theorize that Denis Villeneuve is some kind of pedophile sympathizer or something like that, because I think, to his credit, there is one point in Dune Part 2 of where that okay, so the doors are shut. You have a whole bunch of Harkonnen guards and Beasterbond waiting outside the room, and you can hear a whole bunch of torturous screaming inside. And then a couple bodies get thrown aside and thud to the ground. And as soon as Beasterbond comes in, it's his uncle, Baron Harkonnen, about to ascend into the black bath thing that he has to therapeutically take. And the bodies that Beasterbond sees on the side there is a couple of teenagers that Beasterbond just like done raping. So they still do portray in the movie that he clearly is at least an ephebophile, not like just a blatant pedophile. So yeah, they do have some of that aspect from the books, taken from the books into the movie, but they don't go leaning all the way into it of where that, he goes predating on Aaliyah and he gets killed by Aaliyah.
Again, I don't know because I haven't read the books. I've only seen the '80s movie and the 2021, the first part. I like the first part. I have not seen I didn't care about the '80s film. I will see the second part when I can, which would end up being a lot of the case for 2024. It's whenever I feel like seeing that film. I don't need to see it absolutely. Now, there's some films I wanted to see for sure last year that I saw last year, and there's some films that this year I want to see for certain. But at the end of the day, I'll just probably wait for whenever they come out. Yeah, no, I don't know.
That's
Hope it's
probably like
good.
the
I,
only
I'm not gonna be too worried about the changes they make because I have my stance on adaptations is very simply put. Depending on the adaptation, I usually am like, as long as the product is good, as the film is good, the story is interesting, that's what matters to me. Unless the choices they make are actually worse and actually hinder the product, or lazier than the original, then I have an issue with it. Things like
sure.
oh god, what's
And
the
I guess okay.
okay? Wait, are you familiar with the oh god? What's the one that Jeff Bridges, The Giver? That movie is not very accurate to the book, and the choices they made make it a lot worse because they like have this overly dramatic scene. Are you familiar with The Giver at all? The original book.
No.
Ah, okay. I'm not going to spoil the book. Read the book; it is genuinely good. The movie just sucks. Um,
Okay.
it's not a good film. But that one, the ending, they overdo it, and it's like they kind of takes a little the mystery and kind of the because the original book left on an ending. It's kind of like it's your interpretation of it, how it's going to go. But here in the movie, they like blatantly spell it out, and it's really kind of like your audience. It's like kind of showing me, tells me, is like the people like made are like, you dum dum, you're gonna be treated like dum dum. Look at everything. Aren't we good guys? We're making it, doing it for you. I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't care. This is like very
Okay.
stupid.
And I guess I do gotta clarify since you go mentioning that, like, okay, so a movie does not have to be like page for page a perfect adaptation. Like, trust me, I know about how that Aragorn was supposed to be a whole lot more stoic and not as questioning of his role as being king. And he's technically supposed to have the shards of Narsil with him instead of it being put on a mantle in Rivendell, for example, of Lord Disloyalties. But the thing, and like I said a lot earlier, I don't mind so much how Dune Part 1, how they changed up the way that Liet Kynes died specifically. I am still annoyed about the fact that they gender bent him, but still, and it's not even so much the Lord disloyalty by itself as to why that I am annoyed with the fact that they did not have Aaliyah born and kill Baron Harkonnen. It's because of the fact that because that existed in the book and they very easily could have included it in the movie, that would have it's that bit of thought in my head that is making me think, man, this movie could have been so much better, but you did not do that. And plus, like I said, the action scenes weren't half of them were rushed and stuff like that.
Again, I haven't seen it,
I
so I
still
can't
recommend.
judge for certain. But I can judge the first movie, which I've seen it, and
I
I really
still
like the first
recommend
one a
it.
lot.
It's a pretty good looking movie. Like the effects of the worms and everything is still good. Um, yeah, I still recommend it.
Yeah. It looks promising. I didn't see many. I should probably look at my phone because my phone's up, but I like doing it here because it's better, so I don't have to like rush through it.
So I guess since we're here and I have your ear, like I think I talked about all the movies that I wanted to talk about that I have seen that were released in 2024, anyways. Um, but I guess since you're here, shall we talk about Transformers a little bit more?
I was actually gonna go for some other films that you may or may not have seen. I guess I didn't catch all the films that you talked about.
Oh, okay.
Because you mentioned superhero films. Did you see the Crow remake?
No, I don't even know of The Crow, so I did
Have
not
you? Oh,
have
you
any
haven't seen the
investment.
Crow, the original?
No.
I'm gonna make you. Some point in time, you're gonna have to. I'm gonna make you watch that. The original is a classic.
All
If
right.
you're
Are
going
we
for a
gonna
good.
do a movie night on your Discord server
Oh
or
yeah, no,
something?
we're doing the Crow. I plan to do it anyways. I have a copy of it to stream. But we're definitely doing the Crow. The original is a classic.
Can we do it on a Friday night or something?
Sounds good. I usually do them like later in the week or whenever I can do them.
Like I cannot do them on Sunday through Thursday nights because
No, that's fine.
gym
It's
and
fine.
work the
Uh,
following
Friday
morning of
usually
each
is a good night to
day.
do them. The Crow remake though just isn't very good. I also saw the Roadhouse remake last year. Have you seen which one? Have you seen Roadhouse, the original, or no?
No.
Ah, fuck. I thought you'd at least be. Are you familiar with Roadhouse?
No.
Shit, really? I thought that would be like something you would watch, but what else? There's
I'm
that.
gonna go ahead and look it up.
You don't know the Patrick Swayze, the original? Sam Elliott?
Patrick Swayze is not really an actor that I keep a good track of,
Oh,
and Sam Elliott isn't really either.
well, you've heard of them though.
Sam Elliott more than Patrick Swayze, but yeah.
I'm shocked you because are you okay? At least familiar with films like Donnie Darko or Dirty Dancing.
No,
Fuck.
I'm sorry. I've been kind of sheltered and kind of behind on a lot of movies.
All right. There's one I do want to discuss though. That is the newest M Night Shyamalan film, Trap, that came out last year.
What was it?
What did you hear about that one or no?
What was the movie called? I don't
Trap.
know.
I just said the title earlier. Trap.
Trap? Oh, for some reason I thought I heard you say crap, and I was all like the. Nope, I did not.
Do you know the worst part about that? Actually, the movie itself wasn't the worst, but you know what I could have seen in theaters, actually? Deadpool and Wolverine. I was gonna see that initially in theaters. I ended up seeing it later on streaming.
I mean,
Um,
as much as mediocre and overrated that I think that Deadpool and Wolverine is, I would gamble like $100 that it's definitely better than your average M Night Shyamalan movie.
I like a good amount of M Night's work is good. The problem with M Night is there was a good period of time where he just where he just lost his mind. I think after Signs, he just lost his mind. And it's like, nah, man, we're gonna make like complete doo-doo. So like The Village came out, which I didn't care for much. It was okay.
Unbreakable and Sixth Sense are the only ones that I really like.
Have you seen Split? Have you seen Split and Glass? Well, Split mainly.
I haven't seen Split or Glass. I've seen The Happening though, and
Oh god, that thing's horrible.
that thing
That was
was
his time where he
boring
went
as
completely nuts
fuck.
though.
And of course, everyone knows about the
Yeah, Last
horridness of Avatar.
Yeah, but Last Airbender is a little more understandable because he only did that for his children. That's the only reason, like, because his kids were huge into that series.
What? And why
and
didn't?
He kind of I think it was he had to do it anyways, but he also had to do it. He also wanted to do it for his kids.
Well, if he had kids who liked the series, well, then he should have like had more. It should have been easier then for him to make a halfway decent live action adaptation of the series.
In a way, it kind of reminds me of like, say, if my folks had done like a movie based on one of my interests. It's kind of familiar with
one last comment. Sorry. It's like as if he did not even listen to his kids. Sorry, go on.
Okay, no. With certain interests with your parents, depending on them, they're going to kind of hear what you have to say, but they'll do so because they have to, your parents, and it would be rude if they like completely dismiss you. But at the same token, I'm not expecting to like pick up every detail ever. I think the biggest issue is the sentiment of him making it for his kids, or at least one of his because his kids liked it, is kind of nice. The actual film is not good. It's just not a good adaptation. It's just also not a very good movie on its own merits. I think Shyamalan not until The Visit. The Visit was the last one I said I just didn't care for. Afterwards, like, have you seen Split yet?
I already told you that I haven't. No.
Okay, you haven't. I didn't hear it first time. I love Split. Knock at the Cabin is a very good film if you have the chance. It's actually a really good movie. I like how they kind of handle how the main characters, because the main characters are a gay couple in that, and you have one of them, and there's that kind of interest because the premise of the film, that movie, is that there's 4 strangers that break into this couple's like retreat, and they're like, we're gonna kill ourselves. They keep dying. And while all these horrible events, one of you has to die. At some each husband has to. One of the husbands has to die. If one of the husbands die, the world's saved. If they don't, the world's gonna end. One of the husbands is like fed up with the world, how he was treated. The other one's like, no, regardless, there's a lot of good people. and how you were treated shouldn't affect the fate of the world. I thought a lot of that stuff was really interesting. It's a very good film. You might like it. And Dave Bautista is excellent in that movie. Like, I loved his performance in it. He was really good. Like, I think Dave Bautista is a really good actor, depending on the script you give him. Like, I like the Guardians. I love him as Drax. And I love
Knock on a Cabin in the Woods.
Knock at the Cabin's the movie.
Knock at the Cabin. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
Also,
I'll go and put that on a list, even though it's an M. Night movie. I'm definitely not going to prioritize that movie, like, in any way whatsoever.
Also, what's his face? Ron from the Harry Potter films is in it.
Oh, you're not really hooking me very well, because honestly, I did not like Ron Weasley from Harry Potter.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
He was a jerk.
Rupert Grint. I liked it quite a bit, but a lot of his stuff is good.
But
Trap is
so. Want to get back on talking about 2024 movies, because I do kind of want to wrap up this live stream here soon.
We'll focus on Trap. So I was gonna see either Deadpool, Wolverine, Twisters, or Trap. We went with Trap with my friend because one of my friends loves like true crime stuff or like stuff about serial killers.
So you haven't seen Twisters, and I'm going to guess that Loudmouth hasn't either.
I have not seen Twisters. I was kind of interested in it, but not really. The first film didn't really hook me. I only saw it because it was at a convenient time for when I was going to. But then I ended up seeing Trap in theaters, and I'm like, I enjoyed it. It was if you turn your brain off completely, because that movie makes no sense if you don't think about it. If you think about it, it makes zero sense. If you don't think about it, it's not the worst.
Which movie? Sorry.
Trap.
Oh.
Are you familiar with the advertising of that movie at least?
No, I haven't seen any ads.
It's the one where the FBI lock off a concert to find a serial killer.
Okay.
It is mostly it's a odd one. Everybody is the ending in particular, because the whole point of it is that the killer, played by Josh Hartnett, keeps getting away all the time. One particular scene that bugs the crap out of me is when he captures one character, this pop star character, Lady Raven, played by one of I believe one of M. Night Shyamalan's daughters. And so she's in the limo. He killed or maimed or something, knocked out the driver, probably killed, and is pretending the driver. He's planning to kill her. They get surrounded by all her fans. She manages to somehow break off the pipe that he handcuffed her to. And somehow Josh Hartnett's character is able to get out of the car, this limo, with in sight of everybody, and put on like a hoodie and call it a day. It's a great scene. There's another excellent scene where it takes like 4 tasers to like take him down. It's just a very convenient. The Josh Hartnett's character is like super overpowered, and there's a lot of dumb moments. It's not awful, but it's a kind of film that would have been better in streaming, not in the theater. And that was kind of one of my biggest regret. That was actually my biggest regret of the year. I wish I had seen Deadpool Wolverine in theater. I ended up seeing it in streaming, but yeah.
Gotcha. Well, you can definitely see it now at this point.
I've already seen it, yeah.
Oh, you have?
Deadpool and Wolverine, yeah. I mentioned earlier that I've seen it.
Okay, sorry.
I just didn't talk about it much because it's one of those movies that I really enjoy but don't have much to say about.
Yeah,
it's a film that I enjoy.
Even if I was to give it like a 7 out of 10 rating, there's not much to talk about. It's a rather, I mean, even though that there's this whole convoluted plot about an anchor being and multiverses and how multiverses are about to be destroyed and all the nostalgia and fan service and all that stuff, that information you'll have to know in order to get that kind of stuff. It ultimately isn't a complicated movie.
It's not that complicated, which I appreciate. It was good. I also saw the Megamind sequel that everyone shat on.
Oh yeah, tell me your opinions of that. Like Jay
It's
Furla
not the
told
worst
his.
movie of the year. There were 3 films I thought were worse than it.
Oh really? That bad, huh?
It's
Or those other 3 movies are really that bad, huh?
Quadrant, which is um just it's I love Charles. I met Charles Band in person. Seems like a nice enough guy. He seems very enthusiastic. I just think his lapse in quality of her Full Moon has just been noticeable. And now they're doing like AI for their special effects. It looks so bad. And then you got the Mousetrap, which you might have heard about.
The Mousetrap.
That was the
No,
Mickey
no.
Mouse slasher movie that was like announced
Oh,
as
okay.
soon as Steamboat Willie went to public domain. They released the poster in the trailer. I saw that.
Actually, I've seen a poster more for the Pinocchio freaking horror slasher. That now that is in public domain.
Yeah, no, that's part of the twisted cinematic universe. This is something else. This was made by like, was it British? What company? What country was this from? I think it was generally U.S. Oh, it's Canadian. Okay, Canadian. It's a Canadian slasher film. That was like made by a bunch like some hack who makes a lot of direct to Tubi movies. It looks awful. It looks cheap. The guy, our Mickey Mouse, quote unquote, is literally just is a security guard. Was it? It's like the head of like a security guard slash head of this like Chuck E. Cheese ripoff. It's like, my they're not taking their job seriously. Grr. And then he watches Steamboat Willie on like a film camera. Some water gets on some exposed wire, and then like Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin in the Spider-Man movies, some like crappy Mickey Mouse mask talks to him. It's like we want to see what I see or whatever. So it's basically just some guy with the Kevin Smith hockey jersey, a puny knife, and a Mickey Mouse mask with his beard like very visible through the mouth, the breathing mouth hole.
And that was released last year, huh?
That was released last year. It was actually made in 2023, the summer. They already had made and edited it all, so they could announce it early in 2024, like the day that Steamboat Willie became public domain. They released it. They called it Mickey's Mousetrap. But then Disney sued them. Like, no, you're not calling it that. So it was just called the Mousetrap and dumped on VOD in August. And I watched it because someone uploaded a copy, and I downloaded it, watched it, and I was like, wow, this is a piece of garbage. This is a genuine piece of garbage. It was also it's actually a lot tamer than it was. A lot of it, there's a one scene in particular that bugged me to no end. There's a whole plot line in the film about this guy who's like jealous of the main or one of the main characters. And he's like, I'm gonna bring this hockey team, like my hockey bros. We're gonna beat the shit out of some random dude who might be interested in her to show her that I love her, bro. You gotta understand. So his hockey team are in the bar. They're drinking, and the killer, the guy in the Mickey Mouse mask, comes up to them. And they think he's disabled because he's not responding to them. So they're about to beat him with hockey sticks, and like these really cheap looking hockey sticks. So our Mickey Mouse killer takes one of the hockey sticks and just kind of lightly whacks them on the head, and they're dead. That's the kind of, and there's no blood or no anything. It's just really like PG-13, very tame. It's that kind of movie.
Sounds pretty lame. About as
And
lame as this
there's
one
one
fist fight
actual
scene
gore
that I.
effect.
About as lame as this one fist fight scene I've seen in Laser Blast.
Oh, you're talking about the one that Mystery Science Theater 3000 covered with the stop motion aliens.
Yeah, I mean, I only got about halfway through that movie. I thought I was gonna like appreciate some nice '80s Americana callback, but I just got
That's the
bored with it.
70s,
And
actually. It's the
ultimately,
70s.
there was like a fist fight scene of where that the guy like barely like jolts his shoulder at the guy who's trying to get on his back, and then that just completely throws the guy all the way across the room. And it's not even done in like a very like over the top like entertaining kind of way. It's just done in a rather boring like very low budget, just as some friends gathered together to do one day of shooting to release some lame ass 5 minute long YouTube short.
Yeah.
Action
That
short.
movie in general, Laser Blast, is pretty boring. The only thing people care about that movie is the stop motion aliens. No, you must have gone because you saw at the beginning, right? With the guy with the goofball little laser cannon. The aliens kill him, but they forget to bring the laser cannon they were for. The
I
movie is
did.
dumb.
I mean, I guess they were all right, especially for B movie budget, but it wasn't anything that was able to hold my attention.
Well, they were barely in it, so the stop motion aliens were barely in the film. They're barely in it, and they should have been more. And then there was the fan film, which I'm counting because it's a movie, and to me, it's a real film. Galvatron's Revenge, which was the fan film continuation of Transformers Prime.
And that was released last year?
That was actually released Friday the 13th of last year, December, the last month. That movie's been going for 10 years, and it looks like it was made in less than a year.
Galvatron's Revenge. This is based off of Transformers Prime?
Yes, it's a continuation after the Predacons Rising movie.
Oh, shit. Oh, man. Something kind of spoiled for me. I did not know that Megatron became Galvatron
Nope,
at the end of that
Galvatron did
series.
not become Megatron.
Huh?
No, he did not. Well,
Galvatron is a completely different
yes,
character?
they're going with IDW Galvatron, where Galvatron's a separate entity from Megatron.
Okay. I mean, I'll have to see it when I get to it. I'm still working my way through season 3 slowly but surely.
All right, so go just watch Predacons Rising, and then Galvatron's Revenge, which is an interesting film. It is,
But it's considered to be the worst one, in your opinion, out of all
it's the worst movie
theatrical
I saw
and
last year,
low-budget
'cause
movies.
every other movie I watched last year, there was a lot of bad ones. Every other film, at least I could get some mileage out of it. I watched Galvatron's Revenge twice. I watched it initially when I realized, oh, it came out, and then rewatched it again with some friends, and it was an exhausting. It's an hour and 43 minutes. Had a budget of $14,000 behind it, and it took most of the budget went to like getting them the creator a fancy computer to make it. None of it went to voice acting. None of it went to the animators. All those were volunteers. Including
they didn't get Peter Cullen back for it. They didn't get Peter Cullen for it.
Well, no, this is a fan film.
Oh,
this is not an official continuation. This is a fan film.
So they had somebody put on a Peter Cullen impersonation.
They had. The worst part about that, he ended up being a neo-Nazi, like an unironic neo-Nazi.
What?
Yeah, the voice actor got for Optimus Prime was known for a while to be kind of like just a general annoyance and like edgelord.
They ended up. Oh wow! Oh fuck!
There's a stream where he unironically had a Nazi flag, like an American Nazi hybrid flag, and he talked about how the only prison that should exist is a white prison. Is white. He just went completely unhinged. The voice actor's just a brain rot loser. Carlos had kind of known about it. That the creator of Galvatron's Revenge kind of knew about. It's a genuinely messy affair, and the movie reflects that.
I bet it was.
Oh, it is. I wouldn't mind watching that with you, Galvatron's Revenge again, just so I can just see how you feel about it.
Okay, I'll let you know when I. So the entire rest of season 3 and then Predacons Rising is all I gotta watch for the rest of this continuity, right?
Yes, that's the actual official, not counting RID 2015. You don't need to watch that.
What, 2015?
RID 2015, Robots in Disguise 2015. It's technically a sequel continuation, but then again, it's not worth it. Although you're watching Galvatron's Revenge with me, so I don't know if that's any better, but it's not worth it.
Okay. Any other movies that you've watched in 2024 that are worth talking about?
I watched that Jerry Seinfeld Unfrosted movie because I was curious to see how it was.
Sounds
Did you hear about that one or no?
no.
The Pop-Tart movie that he did this year.
No, I have no idea about
It's
this.
essentially, this was around the time period was like movies don't have we need to have movies with real men and or like more masculine men. And then you look at Jerry Seinfeld and like, okay, buddy.
Wow.
Look at Jerry Seinfeld. It's like if it was like a more buff actor, like a guy who works out who said that, I'd be like, okay, I can kind of understand where he's coming from. But when you're talking about Jerry Seinfeld, talk about like how we need to have movies with more masculine buff men, strong, like, okay, come on. You're not the guy the comedian Jerry Seinfeld's not the guy to talk about that. Also, the Unfrosted is just not very fun.
It's
There's
almost like
one-
throwing stones in. Well, okay, not quite a throwing stones in glass houses because I'm sure that he's not like got an effeminate lisp or dresses effeminately or anything else like that. But he's kind of lacking muscles and machismo in order to play the part.
Yeah.
From what I
Yeah, the
gather.
Unfrosted just wasn't particularly good. I ended up watching the second part to Rebel Moon this year because I ended up watching both parts because I was kind of curious.
Wasn't both of those released in 23?
One was released in 23, the first part. The second part was last year.
Okay.
I want to say that I didn't hate it. I know a lot of people just hated part 2. I know a lot of people hated it in general, but like it's just kind of like it's literally Seven I know that Star Wars is also the Hidden Fortress, but like it's literally just Seven Samurai. It feels this whole trilogy that didn't get complete because I think the second one didn't do very well. So Netflix was like, we're not releasing the third part, which I mean now we're just left with an incomplete trilogy at this point. But it's like, what am I getting out of this? It's just a diet version of better things. Did you see any of the Rebel Moon stuff or no?
I've listened to reviews and stuff, but I haven't watched the Rebel Moon media itself.
Yeah, it's not particularly great. There's one that I think you might like, a movie that came out, animated
Okay.
one, Ultraman Rising. It's a really good
Ultraman
film.
Rising.
It's kind of the same position as TF1 for me, where it's a film that I was not expecting to like at all, but end up really liking. It's a very well done film. I think they handle because the whole thing is about kind of like a father-son relationship. Because the main character, who's the new Ultraman, essentially. Are you familiar with Ultraman?
I've heard of it. I think I've seen the first episode of one of the series iterations, but I never really got into it.
Just kind of imagine it as like
It seems like a Japanese
yeah,
Superman
it's from
kind of
Japan.
thing.
It's Japan. So you get like one of the Ultramen, and he kind of has to raise this kaiju or giant monster kind of child that ends up kind of getting attached to him. And there's also issues with his father, and they eventually mend their relationship. It's a really interesting. You might like it. It's very good. It's a very good film. It's on Netflix, or it was. It's still on Netflix. You can probably stream it or whatever, but it's really good. It's worth a watch. I like how they did the villain in that as well. He's not like a downright evil person. Like, you understand where he is. He's not like beating up his henchmen or like because he's evil. He's kind of like, look, he treats them well. but he's still not. He's basically still wanting to commit like genocide on like an entire species. But they like give you like an understanding of why he is the way he is, and I think it's a really good watch. You'd like it. Are you
Okay.
there? All right.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Any other films that
Ultraman
come to
Rising, you say,
mind?
huh?
Hmm?
Ultraman Rising, you say, huh?
Yep.
Okay. No, I don't have anything more to say. I was gonna let you have the floor because I've talked about everything that I've seen in 2024 that got released in 2024. I mean, I guess I could talk about The Departed or Con Air, which are a lot older movies that I did watch for the first time in my life in last year. But this live stream, I wanted to generally keep it about movies that came
Usually
out
looking
in
out this year.
2024. Yeah.
Yeah, no. There were plenty of films that I saw. There were a good amount of movies. Some of them you haven't seen, but we just kind of explaining them. I end up seeing what we got here. I saw In a Violent Nature in theaters. I saw Terrifier 3. I saw a bunch of other films. I saw that Damsel movie with Millie Bobby Brown because I'm like, it's on Netflix.
Haha. Yeah, I've heard some of the controversy about that movie.
It's just
Terrifier
not.
3, I think Chairview is somebody who like talked about it in one of our group chats. It got released around Christmas. Some people decided to get curious and
It was actually
watch
released around
it.
October. It was October.
Oh yeah, October. I
Yeah, it
guess
was
there's
re-released during Christmas time because the movie takes place during Christmas.
right. It's like if somebody was like intentionally doing that so as to say that Halloween kills Christmas because they're annoyed of how much that Christmas invades Halloween in our modern world.
Yeah.
As far as festivities go. But anyway, the thing that Chairview was saying, I guess somebody was going in to watch the movie not expecting a balls to the wall like blood, guts, and gore horror movie, and yeah, that's ultimately what they got.
I mean, yeah, that is what the Terrifier films are known for. Again, I enjoyed those movies, especially including the third one. I saw that. I saw some of the what was it called? Yeah, no, it's a bunch of other films. I saw Long Legs in theater, not theaters, digitally. Lisa Frankenstein bought on DVD. Yeah, not really much, just a lot of horror stuff mainly. But that's just because whatever films I managed to get that time around, I saw. I don't know, not much from my end either. I'm gonna have to head out soon because I have to do a movie night with my friend.
Yeah, me too. I actually have to go pee, and then I want to do like a couple of things. Man, I ended up spending like majority of my late afternoon slash evening live streaming this for over 3 hours and 40 minutes. Like, hot damn, I need more of a life.
It's fine.
But anyway,
I've been on the stream for a while, so this is perfectly fine by me.
kind of doubtful that a lot of people will even watch back on this. I mean, I know that I personally will probably watch back on this live stream myself because I don't know. I like to hear our conversations that we have with each other, that I have with Loudmouth about various different movies and so forth. The ones that I have with you too, for that matter, as well. But if that's all that you have to
Yeah,
say,
that's all I have to
Markham, I
say
guess
right
I'll wrap
now
it up.
because I'm on borrowed time. But if you want to do another live stream where it's generally more specific, any kind of film, I'm up for it. You're perfectly fine to join us for movie night. Well, it's movie nights have been on a little bit of hiatus.
Yeah.
Friday, you're able to join. Absolutely join.
Um,
I don't know what we're gonna do, but we'll do something that day.
I'll definitely keep that in mind for like future movie reviewing live streams. But anyway, if that was all, I'd like to thank you all who have watched briefly, who may watch in the future, but kind of skeptical because it seems that most of the people that watch my secondary channel here are people who watch like fancy edits like my Lord of the Halos fan music video and my men versus women dying meme that I did based off of War of the Rohirrim. I don't know if I shared that to. Actually, no, I did share that to Loudmouth. I'll show it to you when we go off off
Well, I have to
air
go
here, but
straight to VC like right now.
oh, okay. Well, then,
That's
thank
yeah.
you all for watching. Thank you for joining, Arkham. Thank you, Loudmouth, for joining as well and talking with me. And until later, everybody, have a good night.
Peace.
God bless. See y'all later. Bye. End stream. Okay. There we go.